disappointed in every one of you.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I kiss you on the mouth.
No, I'm not cool with that. I'm sorry.
One more time.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I mean, I'm dealing with degenerate animals.
I'm disappointed in every one of you. Disappointed in every one of you.
All right, come on.
Honestly, I can't do it no more.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
Let me tell you why.
It's gonna be all right, Nicky. Go ahead, shoot.
You just killed a fucking man.
What are you going to do about it?
Yeah, because you got nothing. You don't got a thing. Yeah, because you got nothing. You got nothing.
I want to get out. I want to get out of this rat hole. I want to get online. I need
BDA boxing.
Welcome everybody to another BD Boxing podcast, broadcasting to you live from the True North. Yeah, it's your good friend Mr. BDA flying solo for the moment. We'll be inviting a couple more people over here, all in due time, of course. Guys, thank you for joining us. It's a beautiful fall afternoon over here. I decided what better time than the present to do a show, and boy oh boy do we have a lot to talk about. Quite a few surprises this past 2 days when it comes to boxing. Outside of the ring as well. Drama, shenanigans, PR stunts. Everything we boxing fans like. Of course, before we get down to the fun, we got to get the business out of the way, fellas. Listen, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. Don't forget to hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Spread the BDA gospel. That's the most important thing. And if you do have a couple of shekels that you can wire our way, you can do it via the super chat, or you can do it by joining the membership program. And you get all sorts of perks such as emojis, badges, and film analysis, exclusive film analysis. Gotta get down to that at some point. I do apologize for that. I'm actually gonna have to do a double whammy when it comes to the film analysis. 2 in 1 day to make up for the tardiness. In any event, shout out to you fellas. The most important thing is that you continue to support us by listening and hitting the like button. Shout out to K-Fold, Iceman, Felipe Percha, shout out to Felipe, 150 Dream Team, Gonzalez in there as well. Shout out to Saint Britt, Andres Shooter, who says hype job with those special emojis that we're talking about. Shout out to GB Guthrie as well. Says Mikey Garcia and Giovanni Davis, pound for pound top boxers. Top boxers of inactivity, of course, yeah. Shout out to Jump Tube. Who else is in here? Revolucion, Triple JJJ, Trill Ballins, Wesley M, Official Scorecard Boxing, shout out to Official, K-Nut, Rod Davis in the house as well, Aaron Tibet, Chris K, Uncle Pete, Race Card, Stray G, Turo, Iceman, Steel, and Double L. Thank you guys for joining us. Really appreciate it. Wow, all right. Well, I gotta tell you, this whole thing, there's a lot we're gonna be talking about here. I'm going to be opening up the phone lines soon as well, in about an hour or so. So you guys can call in, let us know what you think. Has the Mikey Garcia train come to an end? It would appear so. It appears it's heading over to Auschwitz. That's where his career is headed, to the concentration camp. We're also going to be talking about Emanuel Navarette, encountering a tougher fight than expected against Joet Gonzalez. We're also going to talk about Ryan Garcia wasting more time due to a hand injury. And we're also going to talk about the big event that people are talking about too outside the ring between Teofimo Lopez and Devin Haney. A lot of people are excited about what they saw, as if a conversation between those two meant that they're going to fight. They're going to fight, though. I guarantee you they're going to fight. It's going to take place in 2025 when they're both ready and at welterweight. But other than that, that's what we're going to end up talking about here. So like I said, we are going to be opening up the phone lines. Let's start out. I'll give you my thoughts real quick. If anybody cares about the Mikey Garcia thing, because as you know, he did end up losing his fight against Sandor Martin. By the way, Sandor sounds like the name of some billionaire that likes to rule the world. Sounds like a George Soros character. Sandor Martin shocks Mikey Garcia, wins majority decision in massive odds. It really should have been unanimous. Should have been a unanimous decision, but them's the rules. I'm actually surprised that they gave him that decision, because if you remember, the Zone poured $7 million into Mikey Garcia for the Jesse Vargas fight before the whole Kufi thing started. And I don't know how much he got paid for this one, but you have to assume this guy was garnering big paydays. And so I'm surprised that the fight took place in California. It's promoted or televised rather by The Zone. They want Mikey Garcia to win, and yet everything seemed to be on the up and up when it came to the decision. Afterwards, I saw a video. I don't know if you guys saw. We were in the Discord last night, and I posted a video from Eli Sackback, who was following Robert Garcia around after the fight. And Eli seems to think that Garcia got robbed and that the Sandor Martin only won one round. Curious to get your thoughts on that, fellas. Be that as it may, Mikey Garcia did lose. And here's the other thing about it is, and I think this is emblematic of Garcia's character, he didn't seem all that displeased by the decision. I mean, he seemed more annoyed than actually distraught, which is usually what you like to see from fighters. If they really do feel they got robbed, I mean, you want to see a guy say, look, listen, I won the fight. Even though people don't like hearing fighters complaining and talking about robbers and all that, that's the way it's got to be done. A fighter needs to tell himself that. Mikey Garcia didn't even do that. He's like, well, I didn't get beat up. That's what he said, according to the post-fight. He said, let me just check it out so I'm not talking out of school here. He fought a very good fight, said Garcia. I thought I did what was necessary to close the gap, apply pressure, and look for a fight. He was the one moving around the ring a lot. Well, what is he supposed to do? Stand in front of the boxer? I can't find the quote here where he said, look at my face, I don't look beat up. He says, I thought I was ahead on the 3 cards, Garcia insisted, having thrown 87 more punches, but landing fewer punches than Martin. So there you go. I mean, he lost the fight. Clear as day. All right, he lost the fight, and I don't understand why. I wouldn't understand if anybody had Garcia winning. It's just he didn't happen. And like I said, this guy just didn't want to push the pace. He didn't go to the body. He was way too patient, and it just goes to show you, it's a guy that had his foot outside boxing for a while now. It's never a good sign when a guy has a 2-year layoff and he takes it in stride. Yeah, when that happened back in 2016, I said, wow, man, this guy really doesn't care. Maybe he's very zen. He's accepted his fate that he was going to have a 2-year layoff after the whole drama with Bob Arum. Hey, maybe he's a zen type of guy, very strong mentally. No, he just turns out that he didn't care. Didn't care whether he actually got a layoff. Usually guys get itchy to get back in the ring. This guy didn't care because he doesn't like boxing. He's very good at it. Most boxers would love to have the skill set he has in the heavy hands. He just never cared for it. He wants to be a cop or shoot his guns or maybe shoot people as a cop. I don't know. It's the way they do it over there in the US. But he was just never... And then when you look at the Errol Spence fight, again, never really pushed the limit. Hey, by the way, fellas, don't forget, I forgot to say, don't forget we're also available on iTunes and Spreaker and what's the other one? Spotify. We're available, so if you want to download the episodes, you can do it on Spreaker or you can listen to them on iTunes and Spotify. But what was I saying? All right, hold on a second. I'm getting messages here. All right. So, real quick. So, Mikey Garcia, when he fought Errol Spence, he never pushed the pace. You remember that, fellas? Errol Spence did try to stop him. He didn't go in there trying to show that he could box. What he wanted to do was he wanted to soften Mikey Garcia with the jab and then take him out. And try to take him out, he did in the last 4 rounds. Just couldn't get him out of there because it's a combination of things. Spence now says that he wasn't in shape. And Mikey Garcia is very good at defending. He's very good at shelling up and riding with the shots and rolling with the body shots. Very good at that. But it was also disturbing to watch Garcia never really go for it. I mean, you saw Kell Brook and Amir Khan. They put up good fights when they fought bigger men in Canelo Alvarez and and Gennady Golovkin. Spence and Garcia, it was a boring affair because Garcia never went for it. He didn't care. He said, yeah, beat me up, man. Kind of like a masochistic gay guy. Yeah, beat me up. Make me feel real. That's what Mikey Garcia was in there for. He never pushed the pace, never went for a home run. And it was the same thing here. And in hindsight, it was the same thing in the Burgos fight. I don't know if you guys remember the Burgos fight. I think it was the last fight before his layoff. Back in 2014, I believe. Again, never really pushed the pace. Hurt the other dude, but never really went for it. And that's Mikey Garcia. Same thing with Lopez. It was a good, entertaining fight, but he never pushed the pace. Same thing with Robert Issa Jr. He's very good at outboxing these fellas, but just not that good when it comes to going for it. So I think this might be the last we see of Mikey Garcia. You guys let me know what you think. I'm really interested because if the guy's heart not in it and it's just for the money, and you have to assume he's got good enough money right now saved up, why would he put himself to this malarkey? Shout out to Not K Not for his contribution to Super Chat. Says Mikey is a cautionary tale for the bum diva 135-pound division. Yes, Not. Thank you. Yes. Very good point, because we're seeing that now with Ryan Garcia and Teofimo Lopez. These guys who are young in their 20s and they think, I can take a year off. I can take 2 years off. I can come back. Mikey Garcia tried to do that now. And by the way, he came off fat. He came back in there and he was fat, man. I don't care what anybody says. I know he's never really been Ronnie Coleman in there, shredded and tight. But I mean, he used to show up in relatively good shape. Now, this time, there's just something. He looked like he had a gut or something. He was drinking too many pistos with Robert. That's the problem. Anyway, listen, we're going to continue to talk about this. We're going to talk about the Navarette fight as well, which was a sensational fight. We're also going to talk about Ryan Garcia pulling out of another fight, taking more time off. I think this time he wants to go to Ibiza or something. And we're also going to talk about the Teofimo Lopez, Devin Haney shenanigans that everyone's talking about, but which, again, might amount to zip nada. Let me get a couple of people in here, right? Real quick. Hold on a second. Give me 2 seconds. I got to invite more people here. Who else wanted in? I think Evolution, Pete. Yes, indeed. Am I forgetting somebody here? I don't think I am. Oh, yes, of course I'm forgetting somebody. All right. We've got, I got Chief, we got Gonzalo, we got Jimmy jumping on. Fellas, thank you for being on.
Anytime, BDA.
Oh,
hey.
Thank you very much, man. Who wants to start with, we're still talking here about Mikey Garcia's upset loss to Sandor Martin. Who wants to go on that one?
Sure, I'll go, BDA.
Yeah. Go ahead, Gonzalo. Yeah.
Mikey Garcia, sure, okay, he didn't look as sharp as he usually is after that long layoff. But, he was not sloppy. He's not a sloppy fighter, okay? And he was not tired. So basically what happened, in my opinion, he got out-hustled and outwitted in the exchanges. And in a game of inches, Sandor Martin was making his punches count while Mikey wasn't as much. So that's basically what happened. I'm not saying that Sandor Martin was Pernell Whitaker in there, but yeah, he was making his punches count more than Mikey's. So basically he got out-hustled and outwitted by a fighter that wanted to show us something on that night, okay? And Sandor Martin, given the opportunity that he got, while Mikey Garcia wanted a coast and a tune-up, expecting, to get an easy win and make more money in the future, but, that backfired on him.
Absolutely. And I like how you use the word out-hustle. That's really the word I try to use. Because it wasn't really a boxing lesson, you know what I mean? It wasn't exactly Pernell Whitaker versus Jose Luis Ramirez. It was Mikey Garcia just not letting his hands go, and Sandor Martin saying, hey, I'm going to take advantage of this. I'm not going to give you a clear target. If you overcommit, I'm going to counter you. And that's what happened. Chief, curious to hear your thoughts on the fight as well.
Well, the bit that I saw, because I didn't get to catch the full fight, what I saw first was the physique of Mikey Garcia, and it was nothing impressive. Now, we know at welterweight he doesn't hold it well. But he's been off for a while. He's had time to really focus that on his conditioning at 147, which he clearly didn't do. And this is now going to get people that do get a Mikey Garcia fight, unless he's carefully matched, to try and test him, because no one's going to fear him now. He's had 3 fights at welterweight. None of them are overly impressive, even though one of them was a win. He's had 2 losses and 1 win. And he's 33 years old. And he looks like he's starting to age like milk and not like wine. Gonzalo is right that he wasn't clearly totally outshined in this fight, but this was against a fighter that wasn't supposed to win a round in most people's the casuals' eyes, and he did enough to win a decision. So Mikey's got a big road if he's going to try and make any kind of an impact in his career outside of what he's already done at welterweight before he's done.
Yeah, well, yeah, this fight, to be clear, was at a catch weight of 143 or 45, I believe, because Garcia was expecting, or his brain trust was expecting that he was going to be fighting at 140 next, possibly a fight with Tank Davis or Prograis. But the fact remains, yeah, like you said, it was technically a welterweight fight, and Garcia didn't look all that great when it comes to the physicality. Jimmy, let me ask you this, man. Is it like somebody not in the chat mentioned this? Is this a cautionary tale about layoffs and not taking boxing seriously? Jimmy? All right, I can't hear Jimmy. Jimmy, we can't hear you. Maybe if you jump. Oh, now I can hear you. Yes.
Yeah, no, I think those headphones just brought the phone. Okay, another clip. But yeah, no, it was definitely it embodies everything that I complain about. Inactivity. His punches were off. He missed. Like Steve Kim tweeted out. I just noticed now. Just tweeted out a picture, and he said, "Here's the fight in a nutshell. Mickey throwing big right hands and missing. He wasn't sharp with them because." Listen, a 10-1 underdog that the announcers had to look up on Wikipedia went in and beat him. A feather-fisted 10-1 underdog who's never fought outside of Europe. And honestly, if he fights anybody else at in around 145 in the top, I don't know, 10 right now, probably get fucking starched. He's a sharp little fighter, right? Talented kid, like as far as like I would say European, about that, he's not going to get much level in now. Yeah, no, listen, I thought Mickey looked fat, slow, and predictable. And the kid saw his punches coming. So I was able to duck out of him. He was just, he didn't take it serious. Obviously, he was so busy playing cop or whatever else he does and, demanding $7 million in a pay-per-view to fight Regis Prograis, even though his kid hasn't done anything in fucking years. I mean, get throwing punches at the ceiling while you get embarrassed by Spence. Then you want $7 million. I personally, I love it. Couldn't happen to a nicer kid. Asshole. To me, he embodies everything that's wrong with the sport. I'm just being straight up. I'm keeping it 100. That fucking kid is everything that's wrong with the sport. He doesn't like it. He has no passion for it to begin with. To him, it's just dollar bills. What we think, I think, you think. He doesn't give a fuck. He even admits that. He doesn't give a shit about social media. When anybody says it's not a part of my world, is how he puts it. It's just, and the fact that it happened in front of his fucking home, people. That's all I got to say.
It's interesting. Jimmy's usually not the type of guy that takes good humor, let's say, in seeing people lose. But I mean, like, I think you're making a lot of sense when you're talking about Mikey Garcia saying, "Look, pay me this amount of money." And by the way, we're paying for the zone. We're paying for ESPN. We're paying for all these platforms to see a guy go in there and half-ass it because he's talented. Well, guess what? Now he came to bite him back in the ass for being so, what's the word I'm looking for? For his hubris, essentially. And now
lethargic.
Go ahead, Chief. Go ahead.
You were looking for a word. I said lethargic.
Well, lethargy too could apply to him. I mean, it was a whole type of shindig here, and I'm very happy that the judges gave it to Martin. That judge who had it 114, 115 or something like that, or for whatever the score was, I gotta look that guy up because we're gonna be keeping an eye on that fella or woman if it was a woman. By the way, real quick, shout out to Chris K for his contribution to the super chat. It says Mikey Garcia's career ends with wet fart. ESPN Plus card better. Yeah, some people's career ends with a bang, and as Chris K said, a big fat wet fart here from Chris K. Shout out to Chris K for his contribution. We got Uncle Pete as well. Pete, you said you wanted to say something about this fight. What's on your mind? Why were you a Mikey Garcia fan, or what's going on here?
Legendary Nights. Garcia Martin.
Yeah, it should have been on HBO, man.
I'll be honest with you.
Please.
Yeah, I don't want to be. I want to be objective. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's got the right to a bad night, a bad day on the job. But I don't know what the fuck he was doing last night. This guy goes from fighting Errol Spence with the one hand up after every round to the fighting basically a Rod Salka. It was basically I was afraid for this Martin kid. I admit I sat down and watched that fight. That's like 10 rounds, 3 minutes a round, 30 minutes, then a minute break in between, another 10 minutes, and then probably 20 minutes on either end. Hour and a half of my fucking life, I sat there and watched it. And I'm going to tell you something. I thought he was just like carrying this guy for 8 rounds and was going to knock him out with some crazy uppercut and damn near kill him. I really thought he was carrying this kid. And this kid thought Mikey was carrying him. This Martin kid, due respect to him, this kid was just waiting to get unloaded on. And Mikey never did it. He never broke a sweat. I don't know if he broke a sweat. One of those rounds I overheard the zone commentators said that the punch count was 3. 3. Mikey Garcia threw 3 punches. It's like, dude, if you're not, I don't want my money back. I pay for the zone. It is what it is. It's not that. It's just if you're going to show up, do something in there. It fucking pisses me off that he wasted 10 rounds of my life watching that shit.
That's a good way of putting it, man.
It's like, dude, you could have tried. I'm sure his dad's gonna rip into him. You got to say yourself. And after the fight, he said he thought he did it. I don't know if you saw a post fight. He don't strike me as a big bullshitter, like Jimmy said. He says how he flat out tells you, I'm not a social media faggot, so to speak. I'm the same way. I'm not big into social media, so like I can't knock any of that. But like, you're gonna after that, you're gonna say, yeah, I thought I did what I had to do to win. Well, one judge gave it a draw. Fuck.
But you know what?
Yeah, Pete.
Real quick, Gonzalo. Real quick. King Bucho in the chat says Mikey disrespected the sport. Essentially, sorry. He says Mikey just wanted to be paydays. Now he won't get any, and disrespected the fans and the sport. That's to Jimmy's point. And again, it's like you're
gonna get paid either way, right? I mean, you're gonna get your check either way. You might. I mean, do you want to throw more than 3 punches in the 8th round? You want to go ahead and try to, like, maybe cut the ring off? Throw some.
But that's what I wanted to get at, because we gave a lot of crap to Guillermo Rigondeaux for his non-effort against Casimero a couple of weeks ago. And this was another example of that. So I don't want to see Mikey Garcia ever again. I mean, well, not ever again, but I mean, he should fight in a non-televised car somewhere where we don't have to shell out money to watch his fat ass not give an effort. I'm sorry, look, I used to support Mikey Garcia, but now it's clear he doesn't really give a shit. So why should I, as a paying customer, and I'm not a millionaire, by the way, I am a millionaire in terms of my good looks, my wit, my urbane sophistication, but I don't have that type of income to be shelling out watching guys. He's got that type of money, so he can afford to do that. But don't expect us to watch us pay for him to do that. So if it sounds like I'm being harsh, I'm just mad at myself.
I sat there and kept hanging in there. If I really thought that was what he was going to do, I would have just got up and gone back to my business after the 3rd round. I thought he was going to like spectacular, like how Danny Garcia carried Salka for like at least 4 or 5 rounds, like for no reason, and then just unloaded on him, like really fucking hurt him. I was like, he's gonna hurt this kid. He's really gonna he's gonna piece him up.
You mentioned some interesting things, Pete, that just got me thinking. Like Mikey Garcia, he's a counter puncher. Okay, he does come forward. In this fight, he displayed that. He came forward, but he seldomly threw punches. So at the same time, his opponent, Sandor Martin, can't really open up because he knows that Mikey's inching his feet into position. He's positioning himself to strike you. As you open up, he's gonna counter you, Mikey. But so at the same time, he's coming forward, but he's not opening up. Mikey isn't until you open up. But at the same time, it makes for a lackluster fight. He's not an exciting counterpuncher like a la Juan Manuel Marquez, that once, you start wailing away at each other, he's going to go for broke, and he's not doing that. So that makes him into a boring fighter.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm pissed off at myself for sitting there and wasting that time because I was in the middle of something. You know what I mean? And I did turn off college football to watch that. But, like, here's the deal. After the fight, don't tell me you think you won. First of all, this Martin kid, he won that. He deserves his fight. He won that fight. He had a public address like Lou Gehrig on his last day in the ball field. This guy was like giving a fucking presidential address. But he won that fight. And then Mikey gets up there and just says, "Hey, I thought I did what I had to do. I don't know what the judges were, looking at, but I mean, I was coming forward the whole night, bringing the aggression. This guy was just pot shot and moving." And Chris Mannix is just standing over him, looked like a dork, straight up dork, just a dork, just with that fucking nod in his head, with his flat lips. And I'm just still sitting there, and I just put my shoes back on and went back outside and said, "You know what,
Pete, you're a little out of line. You're a little out of line.
Fuck this. Fuck La Raza."
But
in all seriousness, it was a waste of time.
Buddy.
The other card, you guys, the Navarrete card was a great card, by the way.
Wait,
here's a side note.
Well, hold on, we're not quite there yet. Pete's already jumping over.
I know, but I'm going to tell you something about the Mikey Garcia fight. One more thing. Earlier in the afternoon, I didn't know what time the card was, so I got on H Money's stream, right? And I started talking to these guys. I go, "Yo, what time's this card tonight?" Blah blah blah. So the card starts. I get back on the Discord or the StreamYard, and there's a kid live at the fight, right? This kid, Coco the Don, right? He's hilarious. I never met him before. He goes, "Coco the Don's at the fight." So this kid's showing the camera around. He's like, panning around. And I go, "What is it, a baseball field? Where is that fight?" And he goes, "Yeah, it's at this place and whatever." They turned like a little baseball field into an arena. So he's like partying and getting, he's having a good time. So I go, he was checking in throughout the night. So about the 6th round of the fight, this guy gets online. And he goes, "Man, I fucking fuck Mikey Garcia. He looks like shit." The 8th round, he goes, "Fuck Mikey Garcia. He looked horrible." He was a big Mikey Garcia fan, right? He had the hat on. So in the 8th round, he comes back. I go, "Yo, Coco, were you the one that turned the lights out? Did you bump into the circuit breaker, the breaker box and cut the lights out? Was that you?" Everybody laughs. He goes, "I fucking left. I fucked that. Mikey looks like shit." This kid got in his car in round 8 and left the fucking arena. 2 hours he drove down there, spent $1,000.
Jeez, Luis. I mean, that goes to show that's the type of
fuck this.
That's the type of raw deal Mikey gave his fans. It's disrespectful.
Yeah, yes. I hate to belabor this, but he turned on his camera and his face came up, and I go, "Yo, did you bump into the breaker? Did you knock the fuse box off? Did you cut the light?" And then I realized he was serious. He goes, "Man, I fucking left. I'm driving home." And then I realized I seen the seat. It was dark behind him. I thought he was just in the stands. And then I seen the seatbelt across his chest. And I go, "Holy shit, he's serious. The motherfucker's in the car. He's in the fucking car. He left. He already left." I met some bitch left the arena in round 8.
You know what? I can't blame the dude. I mean, if he's rooting for Garcia that much, and Garcia round after round after round is just standing there, and the fight, guys, the goal on this guy, he puts his hand up after I believe it was the 7th or 8th round. Same thing as in the Earl Spence fight. He's not doing squat, and he has the goal to put his hands up like, "Yeah, I won this. I'm doing this shit." Man, this guy is out of his mind, man. The money got to his head.
Well, and BDA, it starts all the way. I mean, think about it. He reneged on his contract. He signed a contract with Top Rank. Few wins. Now, I want more money. Like, it's just everything about this kid, man. And then, yeah, listen, these fucking. I've never listen. That's a term. What are they? Stay busy fights. I've never even heard of that. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, that fucking term is like now everything's a stay busy fight. You know what I mean? But I still had to pay for that because it was on that app. Exactly. You know what I mean? And it's just, yeah, no, I was so fucking, I mean, not surprised, but listen, here's a thing. Actually, just on interaction with Steve, and somebody brought up a good point. His old man is the patriarch of that whole Garcia boxing community there, right? And everybody respects his opinion. His father's been saying out loud for 2 years, Mikey has no business above 135 pounds. That's like his limit. Actually, he should be at 130 for his frame, his punching power. He went up to, remember, if you look back, he went life and death with Lipinets. After that, right, he said, no, he said after the fight, he goes, yeah, I'm going to go back down to 135 because this isn't, I feel all right, but I don't carry the power properly, blah, 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 blah. So he goes back down, fights Easter. Looked good. That was the last time he looked good. But what happened? The cash grab. He said, fuck it, I'll sell a loss. I'm going to jump up all the way to welterweight. So instead of taking that, like with what he said, his father said, and the obvious, and going back down to 135, but you know why? There's killers down there. And listen, this has been Mickey's fucking MO, dude. Jumping around weight divisions, picking off the easiest perceived. Look at all his fucking titles. They're always against the weakest champion, a.k.a. Brona style. So it's just everything. Every way he's handled his career, I don't respect in every capacity. And he got outworked by a kid who took it serious. He didn't. He was already counting that fucking Regis program money come January, which if the zone still gives him, I'll fucking cancel my subscription.
Yeah.
Jimmy,
Don't be a cheap prick.
Do you remember when Steve Kim was on? He said, he talked to everybody and they said, I'm a fan of Mikey Garcia. He's been a good fighter. He's won a lot of titles. Can anyone name me his biggest fight? And it was crickets. Because it's just like you said, after he won more money and he was making mid to high six figures in those HBO fights, every fan thinks that anyone who's a household name or they know of deserves Mayweather money right off the bat because they sympathize with the fighter. What do you sell? You haven't even been on pay-per-view yet and you think you want $3 million to be on regular HBO. Only Oscar De La Hoya could do that because the ratings were up. You're not that special. You're skilled, but you're not that special. You don't have that crossover fame. In order to get that, you need to get the fights. You're not going to get it by being an ancestor of the Garcias. And that's the way he's fought his fight. And again, he never really went after that household name to push him over the top because with Top Rank, he could have had it. If he's good enough, he could have beaten possibly Bud and Loma. And if he would have beaten both of them, he'd be where he thinks he deserves to be right now.
Absolutely, man.
I like that family a lot, man. I like that family a lot. I like Robert Garcia. I like him from what I see, which is a lot of footage. You see a lot of footage. I fucking think they're hilarious. I think they're very down to earth. I love the whole dynamic of Robert Garcia is a funny motherfucker, and he's very, very real. And Ellie Seckbeck's annoying, and he's floating around in there constantly. Big G wants to kill him. It's just funny. It's just funny in like a sitcom type of way. The friends that come in there are funny. Mikey's all right too, man. It was never his thing, and he's really, to me, I've really followed his career in that way. Like I never followed it too closely because he flat out told you it's really not his thing. He's not really trying to be Fernando Vargas or his older brother. And I've seen that happen in even my own family sometimes with football. Sometimes the younger brothers don't want to do it what the older brothers did. They just want to do something different for the hell of it, even though they might be better.
Well, he made a lot of money off of it.
That's enough about that. No, I don't hold it against them. I'm the one that sat there and watched it. Jimmy, don't cancel the zone. Don't be a cheap prick. What else are you gonna get for $9 or whatever? But
you're not on Twitter, dude. Did you just hear the news? The zone's going to be starting they're looking into pay-per-view.
Oh, what's the point of paying for the? I mean,
I don't know.
Someone's got to pay for it, guys. Someone's got to pay for this shit.
I hope it's just a rumor, man. I hope it's just a rumor.
Yeah, I'm saying if they want to put him on the headline of another card, probably be a mistake.
Well, I want to get to Revolucion to see what he thought of the fight.
Oh yeah, my bad.
Revolucion, are you there?
Yo, what's going on, all my friends? How are we tonight? For today,
we're doing fantastic, man. What did you think of the Mikey Garcia fight?
Well, of course I didn't fucking watch it because it was a Mikey Garcia fight, but I watched the highlights. No, I watched the fucking highlights because for real. Who would watch a Mikey?
Yeah, I'm envious. I'm envious.
Who would?
Regrets.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. I saw what happened. I was like, okay, let me check this out. I think you're gonna laugh, Mr. BDA. I got vibes of Argenis Mendez and Arash Usmani in this fight, in the style.
Who? Yeah, like you did something during that fight. You were doing something like what? Like cleaning your sneakers or jacking off or doing something, taking a nap. I mean, you were doing something more valuable than sitting through that fight. So, Rev, I envy you, bro. I envy you, brother.
Why? Like, we're all sitting here, we're saying, we all knew he sucked. Look at that. Like, I really lost respect in the Errol Spence fight. Why am I going to watch another one of his fights since then? But yeah, good for this kid. I'm happy to see him get the win. And yeah, like Jimmy said, he's going to lose to anybody else, I think. At one point during the fight, I did hear they were like, one guy, one of the commentators said, what's next for Mikey if he loses this? And Sergio was like, rematch. So you think they're going to fucking shoot the rematch?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I was expecting the guy to string Mikey Garcia, that is, to string his combinations together at some point and really start laying into the guy. But he didn't. You know, because Mikey Garcia is a very basic fighter. It'll work at 140. Mind you, this was at 145. But at 147, 45, the punches ain't counting the same against guys that, you know, come in a little bigger, with a little bit extra weight. I know that Sandor Martin is usually a 40-pounder, but it's not counting. It's not counting as much, the power.
Nope. And his family knew it too, Gonzalo. His father said its power doesn't carry. You know what I mean? And his father's well respected. And if he doesn't even pay attention to what his father's saying, then, you know.
But you know what?
And, that kid's naturally bigger opposed to, like, the comparison to Selka, the same type of level of competition. But this kid is naturally bigger than Mickey. And, I mean, did you guys see his physique? The fuck? It looked like he didn't even train.
Yeah,
that's one of the reasons why he
Mikey.
didn't let his hands go. Is because it's the reason why I think he didn't let his hands go, because he's smart enough to know, well, two things. When he knows his body, he knows what he can probably throw in rounds and not start gasping. So but most importantly, the ring rust. When you're a counterpuncher more than just like a brawler, if you're a counterpuncher, you have to be sharp. You have to be very sharp with your punches. And the kid kept doing the same thing, dipping to his left and then bugging out to his right. And Mickey kept missing. Those punches, if Mickey was fighting 3 times a year, that kid wouldn't get out of the second round, because his escape plan was the same thing over and over.
And you don't change the game plan unless someone makes you. You keep doing the same thing when it works.
And Mickey couldn't catch up with it because he just didn't have his timing down. And you could see him getting frustrated.
Did he even look to see if he was fighting a southpaw or an orthodox fighter? That was kind of an important thing they probably should have done their homework on.
He said he didn't give a shit.
He says he doesn't watch film.
Yeah, he said he didn't give a shit. The thing about it is, if we move on to that Gonzalez and Navarrete card, you'll see
hold on, Pete,
what I was expecting, which was effort. I'm just saying, the effort wasn't.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the thing about Mikey Garcia. Look, he should have beaten Sandor Martin. I hate to take away credit from Sandor Martin, but it's the truth, man. I mean, Mikey Garcia looked very good against Adrian Broner. He looked very good against Robert Easter, who tried to box from the outside, way taller, longer length rather. And because he was sharp. This fight, he did not look sharp. I mean, Sandor Martin is a good fighter, but you're not going to tell me that Sandor Martin is pound for pounder. Oh, well, he might be, right? Remains to be seen. But you got to admit, this was a case of Mikey Garcia just not being there.
Don't bet your house on it.
Well, you mentioned those fights, BDA. How long ago were those?
Exactly, yeah. About 3-4 years ago.
The Spence fight alone is almost 3 years ago. So, and then you mentioned fights that happened before that. And he's 33 years old.
And he had fought 2 southpaws in the past, Latichinin and some other guy, I can't recall, because they mentioned it on the telecast.
Right.
Even if they did, they pay attention to this southpaw. Does he fight the same way they did? Because he can't, just because you beat a southpaw before doesn't mean you're going to approach all southpaws the same way.
Yeah, and he had fought Errol Spence too, but he lost that one. I wonder if the guy plays soccer because he's from Spain. He had pretty good footwork.
Well, they said he used to be a kickboxer.
Yeah, I noticed that too. And speaking of southpaw, remember the days when Mikey Garcia was saying he could beat Lomachenko?
Oh. Well, I think he could have given him
remember
a good
that
fight.
Fucking long time ago, it seems now.
Yeah.
But yeah, also with the kickboxing thing too, it made me wonder if this Sandor, he looked pretty good on the inside, I thought. Especially like the closing moments of the last round. Pretty good exchange, but he was able to fucking block with body shots, roll with shit, and then that was Mikey's fucking closing salvo. Couldn't get anything off, so.
Well, even in the end, he was tagging him up.
Kickboxers working the clinch a lot.
But by the way, we got Steve Kim dropping by. Steve, are you there?
Steve.
Gentlemen, can you hear me?
Yes, indeed. Loud and clear,
yes, we can.
How you guys doing? Thought I owed you guys a call. I've been meaning to do. I tried to get on Friday. Some things happened with my phone lines. I had no idea Mikey Garcia was going to lose. Just real quickly, guys, with the thing with Mikey, and I don't think these stories are even online anymore, but I remember quoting Mikey about 6 years ago saying flat out, boxing is a business to me. It is not a passion. His family loves boxing. Robert, the patriarch of the family, Eduardo, Robert's son, Pita, Robert Jr., they're in there every day, grinding away at the RGBA, and they love it. This is what they do. This is what they are. For Mikey, boxing is a high-paid vocation, and they've said it. Look, if I could do something else that could make this type of money, I would do it. And I dubbed him at that point Mikey the Mercenary. There's nothing really wrong with it. But, last night, first couple rounds, it's funny. I'm watching the fight on my computer. I got some college football going on, and I'm kind of like watching both. First couple rounds, I'm thinking, okay, slow start. Mikey will get going. This is what he does. And then by the middle, we're like, okay, Mikey's got to get going here. And by the late rounds, you're thinking, is Mikey losing this? That's kind of what happened. It is what it is. I don't think it's a huge loss. To me, the highlight of the show, and the reason why I really paid attention to it at all, is I think a brilliant young fighter by the name of Jesse Bam Rodriguez. He has an unbelievable future. What a skill set. He's an absolute artist inside that ring. He's also trained and managed by Robert Garcia. And that's the guy that I care about. With Mikey Garcia and the likes of the four, I'm calling these guys not the Kings, I'm calling them the four nothings, because they really have done not much this year. You get sick of it. Even, Teofimo and Devin jawing at each other. Wake me when you make the fight. It's all tiresome. It really is.
It's also tiresome. Yes.
Agreed.
I mean, with the Mikey Garcia thing, like you said, as the rounds went on, I'm thinking the first 3 rounds, he's a slow starter. Like Gonzalez said, he's a natural counter puncher. But then by the 6th, I knew, okay, he's not. If he doesn't get this guy out of there with one shot, he ain't. But were you surprised, though, by the way, Steve, that they actually gave him the decision, considering that the fight was in California and it was televised by DAZN?
To a certain degree, yeah. I mean, look, do I think it was like an 8-2 whitewash? No, but was it close enough that I've seen decisions of that nature go against the visiting fighter against the home boxer? Yes. But Mikey was so listless throughout the night, and his attack was really one-dimensional and repetitive. He kept throwing the double jab and the right hand over the top. And my view is, look, guys, when you miss it the first 50 times, start doing something different. And one of the circuit breakers against the southpaws, taught this by Ray Mancini, is the left hook. He never went to that left hook, leading the guy into that punch. That's one of the things you could do against the southpaw, or at least, I think he may have thrown no more than 5 body shots the whole night to actually try to subdue a little bit of the movement. Sandor Martin is a pretty solid, decent workman in the ring. I don't think he's anything special, but he controlled the pace of the fight, and I'm glad justice won out. And all I can say now is to Mikey, I don't know where you go, but put this into perspective, guys. Mikey Garcia's last fight took place before the worldwide shutdown of the pandemic. Think about that.
They're very true, man. Yeah, he was just, and like I said, it just seemed like you've talked to him, right, Steve? Especially, did you talk to him during his layoff after the whole Bob Arum drama?
Oh, I did stories on it, and he had no regrets. And, look, I've called Mikey the Mexican Sinatra because he does it his way. And people have to understand one thing. Even his own family is frustrated and confounded by some of the decisions he's made and his approach to the sport. He's incredibly clinical inside the ring, and that is an indication of how he judges the business. Everything is a transaction. And that's another thing I wanted to deal with, guys. I got some pushback from these quote-unquote fanagers when I wrote yesterday that if I'm Joseph Diaz, and I've told this to some of Joseph Diaz's people that work with them, I say, hey, guys, you have a decision to make here. Are you going to worry about Joseph Diaz or worry about Ryan Garcia's injury? Because in my view, you've only fought once this year, and if you wait around for Ryan Garcia, you're hoping that he shows up in February. And that's not a guy I would trust with my career, okay, based on his inactivity and his reliability, which is very low. And I tweeted out yesterday, Jimmy, and you probably saw it. I said, if I'm Joseph Diaz, I say to Golden Boy, hey, guys, I care about me. I care about me, and I want to fight Devin Haney. Long as the money's around the same or equal or a little bit more, and they make it worth my while, I don't care about Ryan Garcia. I care about me. Let's make the Devin Haney fight. And most people agreed, but of course you have these fanagers that, oh my God, but Steve, it's not realistic because boxing's a business. And then every time a fight doesn't happen that you want to see, just keep this in mind. It's a business. At what point are we going to have fighters act like fighters? And that's the whole thing that kind of like, look, I'm not the same guy in terms of covering boxing that I have been for 25 years. I'm branching out into other things, and I'm not the guy that watches every single fight anymore. I'm good with it because most of it leads to nothing. And so I am hoping that Joseph Diaz raises his hand and say, hey, Golden Boy, I know that you want me to wait for Ryan Garcia. My problem is that means you're putting me behind Ryan Garcia. I only care about Joseph Diaz. And if you can get me the same amount of money to fight Devin Haney, I want to act like a fighter. We need to get back to some of that. I'm sick of these fans who keep going with the crutch. Well, it's still a business. Hey, buddy, it ain't a business for you. You're not getting any part of this. Jesus.
Exactly.
Anyway, guys, it's great to join you on this fine Sunday afternoon.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah,
absolutely.
no, your tweet yesterday stood out to me. Yeah, because the way you worded it was, I believe it was something along the lines like, my career is my career.
Right.
And I think it was something about I can't trust him to ever show up.
It's the truth.
Amen.
It's the you know what he'd even pull out of his own funeral one day. Guys, I'm not really dead yet, but let me tweet out a few more things. And look, I know that a lot of people are skeptical of Ryan Garcia. Here's one thing I will say on his behalf. In that press release, they actually listed a doctor by the name of Steve Shin, and that's notable. Not because I'm related to him, but it's because he is a doctor that's actually very reputable in the boxing field. That Top Rank told me, Steve, we've had fighters go to that guy. That guy's a world-class surgeon. When one of our fighters has a hand injury, that's the first guy we call. So I don't think a guy like that would be a part of a ruse. However, when you've cried wolf so many times, there comes a point where people aren't going to hear it. Bottom line.
That's
He might have fractured his thumbs tweeting.
At least have metacarpal syndrome, right? I mean,
yeah, at least a little something.
Now, Steve, is his power I mean, he seems to have I do like the kid's left hook. I think it's quick, and it gets there quick, and it seems to have some mustard on it. I don't know. Do you think if this kid does he have the goods that he could have a good career if his brain was right? Do you think he's talented enough?
There's some physical talent. He has unbelievable reflexes, which cannot be taught or coached. But right. I don't know. I mean, I never thought the Cobra bag was that hard on your hands because that only seems to hit. Right? But there comes a point where you got to actually do your job to get better. We're going to talk about this on the 3 knockdown rule this week, but the quartet of Tank, Teo, Ryan, and Devin, as of right now, and it's going to change in all fairness, that quartet has fought a total of 3 times, and we're 3/4 of the year into 2021. What? There's no there. What are we building towards?
Exactly. Yeah, fuck them, basically, is what you're saying, and I agree. First time on the show with you, and I can really relate. I'm a journalist myself, and fuck them.
No, you're not a journalist.
You know what's scary? You know what's scary? No one outside of myself has really been wanting to point this out. And this is just a fact. I guess everyone wants to have their access. They want to be on good graces. Right, and my job is not to be a publicist here, okay? Yeah, I've written a few puff pieces when it's warranted, but can we at least tell the truth here? I mean, you got these guys defending Teofimo Lopez, and I'm like, yeah, I get it. You still want to interview him. You know what? I'm probably closer to the family than any of you guys. Trust me, I've had some frank discussions with the father. I flat out told him 2 weeks ago, you wasted a whole year. What are you doing?
I mean, that's That's an excellent point. I mean, there's still time. That's what I was saying about the Mikey Garcia thing. He takes 2 years off, then he took 21 months off, and he thinks he can just come back and everything's going to be the same. It's not going to be. He's in his 30s now, right? I mean, it's not like it was 6 years ago.
33.
Yeah, 33. It's not like it was.
he's even older.
Against a southpaw who moves a lot. Come on.
No, and the other thing is, look, Mikey's been in the gym consistently. Oh, okay, that was not an issue. The problem, and I've talked to trainers about this, you could spar all you want for months at a time. The problem is, it's not the same. The intensity level, the speed of the punches. Not only that, you're working with 16-ounce gloves instead of 8 or 10. Headgear, no headgear. You actually dull your senses a little bit if you don't get enough live competition with real bullets. I've literally seen guys turn into just gym fighters because they don't fight enough. And sometimes it's not even their fault. It's the symptom of the business. But we have a real problem here. And one of the reasons why I'm stepping back from the sport is I truly believe that Manny Pacquiao and then Canelo, they're going to mark the end of the era of the true international superstar, because most of these guys do not fight enough, even early on in their careers, to build a fan base where they're ever going to be as popular as those two guys, and Mayweather in the past, Mike Tyson, whoever you want to name as a real superstar, Oscar De La Hoya. Think about this. Oscar De La Hoya, coming off the first victory over Julio Cesar Chavez in 1996, I would say is a bigger name than anyone in boxing right now. Okay? In the very next year, in 1997, he fought 5 times, all of them championship fights. So when all these, again, managers say, well, they can't fight enough because there's so much. What do you mean? The highest paid fighter in 96, 97 fought 5 times. And currently, the highest paid fighter and the most popular fighter in Canelo is fighting 4 times in 12 months. These fans, they don't even look at the facts. I mean, never mind that their opinions are trash. They can't even look at things factually.
Refused to.
Oh,
4 times in 12 months because he was catching up for 18 in a fucking courthouse or at a mediation table.
Well,
even
Steve,
then, he's a 2-time-a-year fighter. 2 times. And listen, it's a shame you're backing out of the journalism thing because.
No. Well, I am going to cover boxing. Well, I want to make that very clear.
Jimmy's column in White Power Weekly, though. He's been writing this thing.
Oh, shut up, you donkey! No, Steve, you're just not doing the everyday beat thing. Like say if you were covering a football team, you travel with them and all that other shit.
Right,
you're stepping back and being more like, you're more of a big view.
I don't know if you guys see it, but look, I'm doing the twice-a-week column for Snack.com, K9's Corner. I'm enjoying doing that. I don't have to chase every story. I flat out, I got burnt out at ESPN with that bullshit. But also now I am doing the show weekly or several times a weekly contributor to The Blaze and Jason Whitlock on Fearless. I can send you some links where I talk about other issues, other sports. Also, I'm doing the gambling website wants me to do a preview of certain fights. I'll do that. And also I'm doing the knockdown rule. But I am not going to be that hardcore Harry as I was, where I'm watching some of these FS1 shows from Bakersfield. Nah, I'm good. I'm good, guys.
Or Steve, we're talking about the 4 characters that you just mentioned, the 4 queens, saying they're going to fight, and nobody wants to hear something get marinated that's not going to happen anytime soon, right?
Well, remember this? Remember when Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence got in each other's grill in Oklahoma City at a Alex Salcedo fight, and everyone got excited for about 2 weeks?
Yeah,
they never fought. Never even came close to fighting.
Yeah. I mean, listen, all I will say as a final note on the whole Mikey Garcia and Martin fight is hopefully maybe now Jose Ramirez, actually, if he wants to get a little bit of rust off of there, maybe he can take on Sandor Martin, because we need somebody to step up for Mexico after what happened last night. Mexico versus Spain. Spain will not colonize us once again, all right? So that's the fight I want to see. Hey,
Steve, I got a question.
Yes.
That Bam Rodriguez guy, I heard he's brothers. I think I heard or read
Joshua Franco.
So why the different last name? I know Librado Andrade and Ornelas were brothers, but they didn't share the same last name. So I was kind of curious about that.
I've never
different
asked.
Baby mamas.
Yeah, I mean, I never asked. I didn't want to get too personal, and I don't know Bam all that well. I've only spoken to him a couple times, but I'll say this right now. in my view, he is the heir apparent to Chocolatito and Juan Francisco Estrada.
Oh,
of those little guys.
That's a big
He will be a
statement for you.
multiple. Yes, he will be a multiple division champion, and he'll be one of these guys that you'll see on pound for pound lists. I saw him at the gym about 2 months ago when I went to go see Robert Garcia and his crew. I actually went there to visit Virgil Ortiz, and off to the side, Bam didn't have a fight scheduled yet. They were trying to get him on a show in September at that point, and he came in with these seasoned guys that you've seen on TV, and he went 4 rounds each. Went about 12 rounds that day, and he just put on an absolute show, and I was like, wow. I knew this kid was good, but it was like seeing Shane Mosley at the LA Boxing Club in the late 90s. It's like discovering this urban legend, and you see it for the first time, and you're like, wow, Loch Ness Monster is real.
But hey, that begs the question then. That begs the question. He's passing the eye test, right? In terms of skills and all. I mean, you said on your column, you'd be surprised if he doesn't get at least a title. But what about what we're talking about, like with Mikey Garcia, the hunger? Because he might have the tools, the talent, the natural.
No. Let me just say something. He's got a passion for the sport. This ain't Mikey Garcia. He is not just passionate. He loves boxing. He wants to be a boxer. This is what he wants to do. And quite frankly, he hasn't made enough money to be spoiled yet. So you're right. That could change. But when I look at most of the RGBA fighters, the ones that really buy into that system, they love the sport. Most of these guys don't look at this as just a job. This is what they are. For Mikey, boxing was just what he did every once in a while. So I don't have those type of concerns as it comes to Bam Rodriguez at all.
Well, hopefully he can.
Hey, Steve, I just wanted to say, Steve, congratulations on the Blaze gig with Whitlock. I think that guy's awesome. Well, I already get the Blaze, so yeah. You're on other links. I mean, you're discussing other sports too.
Yeah, other sports. I'll send you some links to the past shows, Jimmy.
Because I'm behind the paywall. I pay for the Blaze, right? You can.
Yeah, and if you go to Jason Whitlock's YouTube page, Jason Whitlock on YouTube, and every day he has a show. I'm on there about 3 days a week. Last week I was on there twice a week. And I actually gave a pretty long breakdown of the Fury Wilder fight on Tuesday, and I was on there Thursday. Look, when I left ESPN, I made a decision in my life. Couple things. Number one, I'm not going to go back to corporate legacy media. I know what that is. I'd rather have the ability to have my First Amendment rights and to be able to tell the truth. Also, I was never going to have just one stream of income. I was going to be able to make money in different forms. And 3, I'm going to have fun and do what I want and like the people that I work with. So far, all 3 of those things have been accomplished.
That's awesome. Good for you. That's
one more thing, Steve. I wanted to ask if it's okay, BDA.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I was listening to a podcast in Spanish. I listen to some podcasts in Spanish sometimes, and they were talking about Oscar De La Hoya and how a lot of people were mentioning that they thought that he faked the COVID. What are your thoughts about that?
You know, that's interesting. You're not the first one. So in other words, did De La Hoya deserve an Oscar? Huh. You know, I don't want to cast aspersions here, but I was actually with Oscar 2 or 3 days before he came out with that thing, because we had a thing where several writers and media members, Doug Fisher included, were invited to the Golden Boy conference room to just talk to him for about 35, 40 minutes. He seemed fine. Would it be out of the realm of possibility that they looked at the ticket sales and said, okay, we got to bail out of this? Sure. I actually think Oscar should just ditch the whole idea of him fighting, period. It's a bad idea. Concentrate on your company. You have a guy by the name of Virgil Ortiz. You know, Oscar, I really like Oscar as a retired fighter because he's a fun guy, gives you great quotes. But my view is, Oscar, you have a guy by the name of Virgil Ortiz. How about showing up to his fights? And how about kissing his ass once in a while like you do Ryan Garcia's, man? That's the future of your company. And I told this to Golden Boy on Friday. When the King Rye news broke, I told this to somebody. I said, hey, guys, unfortunate. Ryan not going to show up to his job, which is fine. Could be very valid. You have a guy named Virgil Ortiz. Get him a fight. Get him a fight. Bottom line, I don't want to hear about anything else. Get him a fight. Let him fight 3 times this year to continue building his fan base. I am so sick and tired of promoters saying, well, but it depends on our television contract. Hey, guys, when a fighter signs with you, they never talk about the television contract. They sign with a promoter. Okay? So this whole business needs to be blown up in a lot of respects.
That girl that he's with, Steve. I don't like that girl for him. I'm kind of like that's to Oscar because.
Come on, Holly Saunders. You mean you wouldn't take her home to mom?
Well, what I'm saying, no, he's gonna.
I wouldn't either. Yeah. Look, Oscar, call him Mick Jagger. He's a Rolling Stone. The days of him being settled down and married. He never had those days, even when he was settled down and married.
He's rolling papers.
Is Oscar? Are you gonna fight again? And Oscar was quiet after the whole COVID thing, and then the girl responded for him. And I've caught her a few times responding for him. That's what I'm saying.
Hey, Gonzalo, you sure that's a girl though? I don't want to get too crude.
Come on.
I'm just saying.
Stop
I'm just
saying.
To your
point, Steve. To your point,
doll, man.
Well, to your point, Steve, like with Virgil Ortiz, man, when you have a kid, like I'm with you on that, I think that kid's extremely talented. Fucking sky's the limit with him. Like, that's the kid you're pouring your energy into. If I was a fighter on the up, I wouldn't want my promoter out there fucking talking about himself and trying to promote some bullshit fight that's not going to go anywhere. I mean,
Jimmy,
that's
can I tell you
cash
something?
grab.
Me and Mario had a disagreement about Virgil Ortiz's last fight where Oscar didn't show up, and Mario said, well, Oscar's training. So what? He could take a private jet. He's not waiting on the Southwest line like us schlubs. Okay? All he needs is a fitness center, turn up the heat, put on some thermals, you can work out. Okay? Give me a break. Virgil Ortiz has been disrespected in certain ways by Golden Boy. People hate when I say it. Look, I'm going to tell the truth here. I have too much respect for Virgil Ortiz and the type of young man he is and the father that he has, that if you're Virgil Ortiz, you show up to his fight night. You support that kid. That's what you do. That's what your job. You look at Bob Arum at 91, 92 years old. That guy's there at 3:30 in the afternoon watching undercard bouts because he's told me, I'll never forget, say what you want about Bob. I asked Bob, man, Bob, do you have to watch every fight? And Eddie Hearn's the same way, by the way. And he says, Steve, when I sign a kid, I know I have an obligation to be there. That said a lot.
That's the reason why he's... And that's the reason why he's Bob Arum, and he's been running this shit for half a century.
But
he knows how to do it right.
In my view, is Virgil Ortiz, young fighter, and I know how disciplined this kid is, and I don't want. Well, we could just shove it off till next week or next year. No. How about you shove it off to this year and do your damn job? See. On one moment, and I want to make this clear, I don't blame or assign all of the blame to the fighters for the lack of activity, of only fighting maybe twice or once a year. Sometimes the business breeds it in them, and that's what's unfortunate.
Steve, if someone came to you in 1997, 98 and said, in 20 years, fighters are going to be fighting, regardless of where they are in the trajectory of their career, 1 or 2 times a year, at best 2 times a year. I mean, you probably wouldn't even have believed it. And if you did, you'd say, wow, they're going to suck. And you can literally see all these guys, they go out and have these performances. Even the fight that everybody's claiming is this, great fight. I think their emotions took over. I 100% agree with what you said to Mario in your column. It was a drama-filled fight because of all the stuff outside the ring. But I thought that was, like you said, wasn't nothing I'm going to watch again.
Well, look, would I watch it again? I would. But look, here's the issue. As someone who's actually seen Bo Holyfield 1, Larry Holmes, Ken Norton, Ali Frazier, even Michael Dokes Evander Holyfield in '89 was an unbelievable fight. Those fights had real sustained two-way traffic. And at a certain point, you felt like both guys can win. Here, outside of round 4, I never got the sense that Deontay was on his way to victory. I really didn't. I thought Deontay showed a lot of guts in there, but it was a bludgeoning for the most part.
Yep, thank you.
It was a sloppy bludgeoning. Real quick, shout out to Luke Peterson for his contribution. He says, Steve, who would have won in 2018, 2019 between AJ or Wilder? Huh.
You know, that version of AJ that wasn't completely gun shy, I actually think he would have boxed his way to victory behind his jab. I think he's still a little bit too sound for him. Now, I don't know. Unfortunately, and again, that's another fight that should have happened, that could have happened, and didn't.
Yeah.
So, Steve, how many times have we seen beatings like what Wilder's taken, especially his last two fights, and they may give him some test guys, some Charles Martins or somebody like that we know can't do anything to harm his career, and then the next thing you know, perfect example, those two tough fights Razor Ruddock had with Mike Tyson, they give him Phil Jackson, then he fights Lennox Lewis, and what happens?
Right, and gets splattered.
Robert Garcia, we've been all over his bandwagon tonight on a trainer and as he is a person. But you remember when he fought Ben Tacky? I mentioned this on one of the shows.
Right, got knocked out late.
And then what happened to his career after that? It nosedived. I'm not going to put you on the spot here and say this is what you're predicting, but is it, the odds are usually in the favor of the fact that the bludgeoning Wilder took in those two fights, it doesn't matter what he adds to his game from now on, at the upper level, it's probably not going to be the same for him ever again. I mean, can you see history repeating?
Yes, I actually think that Deontay Wilder, whatever was the good version that may have been left after the knockout of February 2020, was beaten out of him in the late rounds last Saturday. I don't think it's a bold statement at all to say that he may never be quite the same. The term spent bullet comes to mind. And
Steve, I was going to say, brother, I was going to ask you, to me, it looked like those jabs were rocking him. Never mind the fact that he was open mouth breathing, I believe, after the second, maybe the third round. But those jabs seem to be fucking really hurting him. And it's not like he's a fucking heavy puncher, brother.
Jimmy, he had a glazed look in his eyes from the early on, and I thought even in the round where he knocked down Fury twice, he stumbled back to his corner. I said this on Twitter. I'll give myself a little bit of credit. I didn't like the weight. I thought he was way too top-heavy. One of the things I told Jason Whitlock the week of the fight is that he looks great on the magazine covers, but he's one of those guys at the gym. He skips leg days for about 10 years. I don't think his body had a lot of symmetry, and just look at his body language. He was huffing and puffing after the first or second round, and the weight gain that he's had the last 2-3 years has been very odd. I think the heavier he's gotten, he's lost a little bit of his twitch, a little bit of his reflexive ability to punch really fast, and the other thing he doesn't do technically, I mentioned it last week, he doesn't tuck his chin in, so every punch that he gets hit by jerks his head back like a Pez dispenser.
Hey, but
I quoted you last week. I think you said it perfectly when you described. You said, "Wait a minute, wasn't his legs the issue in the second fight?" And so it was to put on 20 more pounds. Somebody explain how that was a good idea. I think is how you phrased it.
You think his decision to change the gloves too had something to do with him breaking his hand? Steve Kim?
Oh, I don't think there's any doubt. I mean, look, if you fight in a certain type of glove, and there's different gloves. There's the horsehair, there's the power lock. Grant gloves are really good for the hands. Winning gloves are preferred. Guys have really brittle hands, and your hand gets used to it. That's why most fighters stick with a certain brand or a certain model of a glove, and you get acclimated to a certain feel of a glove. Because the padding sometimes is not distributed all the same. Every glove's a little bit different in terms of what they're trying to do. I think the head games of Tyson Fury again got to Deontay Wilder.
Yeah, man. I mean, it was a bit of a circus this past year, or more than a year since the rematch. It was a big circus that ended up being rather entertaining. I gotta ask you. You wrote before the fight about how the fight wasn't quite sold out, but you made the distinction that just because a fight isn't sold out doesn't mean it's not doing well financially. At the end of the night, did they end up doing very good numbers at the gate?
According to Jim Boone, KO Tickets, a man that I trust, he said business was very brisk. And keep this in mind, as he pointed out, the difference in capacity between the MGM Grand, where the second fight was, and the T-Mobile Arena where it was last Saturday. It's about 4,500 to 5,000 tickets, so that's a lot. So you could have a bigger attendance for a fight, but not necessarily have it sold out if you go from the MGM Grand to the T-Mobile. According to Jim, he did well, and I think overall it looked like a really good atmosphere. It looked full. You know, I don't look. It was every single seat in the upper level sold, or were there a couple empty seats? No, there probably were empty seats. The show. What I want to find out, if you believe these numbers of Kevin Aioli, that the fight did around 600,000. Keep this in mind. That fight was distributed for the most part by ESPN Plus, and the split of the revenue is different than the cable satellite, which used to be 50-50 with the promotion and the cable and satellite. With the new ESPN Plus, or the networks controlling their own apps who do the pay-per-view, my understanding is that most of the money then goes to the promotion. It's a much more favorable split, so you don't need quite a high of numbers to do. So, but do I think the fight did well at the gate? I think it did well. And again, remember with the casinos, they could charge a lot more to their players and count it as a buy. So the bookkeeping is a little bit different.
And they didn't have the guaranteed salaries, right?
My understanding is that the guarantees were not as high as they were in the second fight. So, is there a chance they made money? Yeah, it doesn't. I haven't heard reports that this thing was a bloodbath like it was in the rematch.
Hey Steve, let me ask you if you know offhand, you mentioned the MGM Grand Garden Arena versus the T-Mobile. Is T-Mobile its own freestanding event center where you pay to rent the house, or is there an affiliation with a resort to where, like the MGM Grand, they might give you a site fee to have?
Well, even if you have, like, let's put it this way: there have been fights at the Thomas and Mack, home of the UNLV basketball program, where it's a freestanding arena, but there usually is a host casino.
Of course,
so and I believe that this last matchup was with the MGM Grand, because I've been to fights at the T-Mobile with Golden Boy and K2 Promotions, Golovkin, Canelo, and everyone was housed at the MGM Grand, so you could put two and two together.
Sure.
They probably have some sort of affiliation. The T-Mobile, to be honest with you guys, I'm not a huge fan of it. The sightlines are really built for hockey. In terms of pure boxing, my favorite venue in Las Vegas, and I'm glad this fight is going to be there, Porter Crawford, is Mandalay Bay, because it's 12,000 seats. So it's not huge, sizable, but it's doable. And the sightlines for pure boxing are absolutely incredible inside that hotel. Casino venue. I wish they'd use it more.
My favorite place too. I've been there a few times. Mickey had a few fights out there at Mandalay Bay.
That's interesting that the hockey. When I was at that Stanley Cup game last year, I was telling my brother, I said, "Man, they should do boxing. They should do boxing in this kind of like vertical. Them seats go straight up, so you could see down there. But I guess there's no good way to. There's not much of a good way to seat people. If you sit ringside, you can't see. The angle's weird, and if the camera's the best angle you can get.
Yeah, you know what, Jim Boone has told me for years. Well, Jim Boone back to 1978, because that's the year they became 10-round fighters. But between Hearns and Leonard in 78, 79, 80, and leading into 81, they fought a combined 32 times. Hearns fought 18 times, Leonard fought 14, and they fought so often that they became household names. Now you have guys have 15 fights talking about, well, I need to be on pay-per-view, and they fight once a year. It's like this game has no shot right now. The business has no shot.
I was blown away when I saw Chavez, Meldrick Taylor and Julio Chavez, the replay, of course, and I looked at his record, was like 89-0-1. I'm like, God damn, this guy's got almost 90 fights. In other words, it goes back to what you're saying before about it's such a short window, professional athletics. I mean,
in the bubble, why were they recycling a few fighters? I mean, I'm not talking about like the elites, but like a Clay Collar. I can't remember, like 2 or 3 other guys that were fighting every month.
Oh, you know why? Gonzalo, because they were the guys willing to do it. They were the guys.
Well, it's like James Toney said, I can spar, or I can fight a house show. I can fight a small show where I can spar. It's the same shit to James Toney. He's just saying I should have. I want to stay active. Why not stay on?
And also, in all fairness, those guys came a little bit cheaper, so they fit inside the budget. But it's like, look, say what you want. My Miami Hurricanes are terrible. I wish they'd fire their coach. But you know what?
Yeah,
they're going to play 12 games this year. I plan on watching all 12. As miserable as it makes me, I'm going to watch 12 Miami Hurricane games. Okay? That bottom line, I'm going to be happy for it in my own miserable existence as a Hurricane fan. If you're a Red Sox fan, every year you say, I get to watch those guys 162 times a year if I want. If you're an NBA fan, whether it's the Lakers or Clippers or the Pacers, you get 82 games. Hockey, I think you get 82 games. In boxing, you could say, wow, such and such fighter, I hope I get to see him 2 times.
Oh yeah, let's talk about this, right? You mentioned college football, right? So I played college football, and in other words, you're going to get as an athlete, you're going to get your education paid for, right? They are running a business. Here's the thing about paying. When I said earlier about someone's got to pay for it. The reason that we get the NFL, college football, all these other league dominated sports. There's a league. It's a cartel, and the professional sports, it's a cartel is what it is. It's on a set schedule. You're gonna watch those. You're gonna watch college football. It just started a couple weeks ago. You're gonna watch the Hurricanes every week, and you're gonna curse at the TV, and you're gonna say they fire the coach, or they're gonna win some games. You're gonna love them. It's on a schedule, and it's being paid for by advertisers that are paying for it for you to watch it. So it's kind of like that's the difference with boxing. What I was going to say before that I wanted to come back to was, do you ever think about writing just a objective, I'm just going to say like clinical, don't want to demonize anybody, but just a guide, some kind of a book to explain to people the structure of boxing and how it's kind of stuck in that exhibition style, the exhibition format that it was 100 years ago. It never formalized into a league where there's protection for the players, and there's minimums, and there's pensions, and there's the organized labor down there, and there's owners and up here, promoters if you want to call them that. And there's no fucking. Imagine if the Hurricanes had to go to the ACC every week and negotiate if they're going to play North Carolina or, Notre Dame or whatever, Florida State. You have to go. They have to sit about it, talk about it, marinate the game. You'd fucking give up on it after a while. You just get tired of it.
I take pride in the fact that I've probably written more about these issues in an honest, educated way more than any writer. I'll be the first to tell you. I probably touched subjects that other people couldn't even comprehend. I'll just say that. As arrogant as it sounds, I know it's true. Years ago, when I was at Max Boxing, I don't even think these archives exist anymore, I wrote a series on that called State of the Game, where I talked about the influence or the negative impact of the casino money that has ruined a lot of boxing markets, the high minimums that actually dissuade fighters from fighting. I talked about a lot of these issues. But it's unfortunate, though, that too many writers believe, well, I'm ripping the sanctioning bodies, like they're doing that phony tough guy routine. And I always say BFD, big effing deal. So what? I actually argue that the sanctioning bodies make fights. They actually create a little activity when they do their jobs the right way.
Yeah, it's paper tigers. They're swinging at something that doesn't swing back.
Right, and the other thing, and Jimmy, at the end of the day, I made a decision a while ago. Hey guys, I've carried the water. I've done the heavy lifting for all you cowards. I'm done. Let me live.
I wasn't insinuating anything either. I wasn't expressing. I've heard you on the show before, and I know you're fed up with the shit. I can tell you're just not trying to polish a turd.
Several months ago, I just came up and I said, you know what? I've done the heavy lifting. It's time for someone else to do the tough stuff. Because I've made enemies with the networks. I've been banned by networks. They've hated me. Promotional companies don't like me. Which is great. It's fine. It means I'm doing my job. But there came a point where I just said, you know what? I'm just going to have fun. Let me just be an observer now. Be a smart ass and make people laugh and watch the fights that I want. But all those issues I have touched on, yes. And even through Twitter, I'll say certain things that people may not like. And it is what it is. Because long ago, I was taught by the great Larry Merchant, this is not a popularity contest. I have a clean conscience in all this. I believe that I have an understanding of the business inside and out that no one else has. And I'll say this again, I'll toot my own horn. I'm one of the few writers that actually goes to the boxing gyms or has on a regular basis just to actually learn the sport. So, yeah, those issues have been talked about, and I don't know if they're ever going to be fixed now. I think the game, you know what was disheartening about that Teofimo Devin Haney's face-off yesterday? It actually got into, well, will you fight on the zone? Will you fight? Oh, my God, we're going to that shit again? Really?
I heard you
really?
say
that was horrible.
They're not contracted.
I mean, my planet eyes rolled out of my skull.
I mean, that's
that was the old man, Bill Haney. He kept barking that out. Do it on the zone. We'll do it on the zone. I'm like, are you serious right now? I'm
right.
Like, and can I be honest? The zone, I'm glad it came around. We need more people willing to put boxing on. But every time a new entity comes along and they throw around ridiculous money, it puts the fucking sport into a whirlwind. Because then you got people thinking every time, oh, I want $7 million. I got $7 million like Garcia. He got 7 for fighting Garcia. So of course he wasn't going to fight Progas, whatever his name is, for $3 million. But they end up, self-defeating.
I mean, and then you got guys like Gilberto Ramirez and Dimitri Bivol, who should be fighting each other. In a perfect world, they need each other, and I don't really know if there's any progress. I told both sides, your careers mean nothing. And I'm the biggest Bivol fan there is. No one can ever doubt that I'm a Bivol supporter. When I first saw him, I jumped on that bandwagon, but I've had some heated discussions with this management saying, what are you guys doing? I mean, there's no one, I'm telling you, there's no one that's a bigger asshole than me in a good way, than me. I'm telling you. I've told this to people. I've said, you know what, I want to stay in boxing just to torture you guys because someone needs to tell you people the truth.
Yeah,
I told you
it's
so.
a sport desperate for honesty.
I told you so. Volume 1. I told you.
It's a filthy business, that's for sure. I will say though, I think when you look at it and you look at the potential fights that could be made that aren't being made, it can be grating. That being said, we have had a good year when it comes to boxing. Hopefully they step it up and they continue making those type of fights. But we're talking about all these journalists or so-called journalists sometimes who do all these puff pieces. But I did want to ask you, Steve, what did you make of Bob Arum's outburst that on the last press conference for the Wilder Fury fight, particularly when he called what's his name? What's
Carpenter.
Yeah, Carpenter, where he called him what did he call him again?
Little prick.
Little prick. Yeah, actually, yeah.
Yeah, little prick.
Shut the fuck
up. Let me just put it to you this way.
Yeah, prick.
That's Bob. That's Bob being Bob. The great thing about Bob Arum is that he'll say anything, and the worst thing about Bob Arum is that he'll say anything. But let me defend him here. Where Mike Coppinger was out of line was that he didn't ask a question. He made a statement. He just barked it out. Well, we should pay him what he wanted. Well, that's not the way you do business, because every fighter wants $1 million then. So then again, all these managers say, well, they should pay them what they want, as if you wouldn't run your business that well, not one that would last for 50 years and be successful.
Well, Steve, let's be honest. He's never liked Bob. And you can see it in his tweets. You can see he's always had a bias against Top Rank as hard as he tries not to show it. And, he leans towards the PBC. That's obvious. But you're 100% right. And I don't know, maybe it was you who even told me there's 2 things with Bob you learned if you get to know him. Don't interrupt him when he's talking, and don't interrupt him when he's eating. And he won't hate you.
I don't think I told you that, but those are words to live by with anybody. And this is where, look, if Mike would have, and I like Mike, I get along with it, but if Mike would have said, Bob, with all due respect, here's what I would have phrased it. I would have said, Bob, with all due respect, do you wish you would have worked harder to come up with a middle ground or a resolution that would have prevented a purse bid? But just to blurt out, well, you should have paid him what he wanted.
Yeah, it was like a heckle. It was like a heckle.
What world are we living in? But the way he barked it out,
yeah.
I'm just like, no. That
sounded like he was his cousin or something. Yeah, he sounded like he was
just
his
over
brother.
his shoulder like a heckler. Well, if you paid him what he wanted,
like an angry relative. It's crazy.
But Steve, right? In other words, just say, what do you say to the people that say, maybe you should have worked hard? You can phrase it in a way where you can get an answer out of him when you want to explode on you. But he is 90, and he's going to let it.
And if Bob has FU money, he don't care. I mean, in my view, maybe there's a valid point. Maybe they should have done everything in their power. But when Teofimo Lopez's manager. And I've seen this interview. So, well, when Top Rank asked me what I wanted, I said $5 million, but I was just being facetious. And I'm thinking to myself, hey, David McWater, or as I call him, McGenius, if you were serious about making a deal, you wouldn't have come up with a facetious number. And I'll get back to that guy in a second. Here's the issue. They were negotiating as if we're going to take this to purse bid, because that's exactly what happened. Because they obviously must have known there was going to be somebody bidding up like you wouldn't believe. And Teofimo and them got really intoxicated. And that's the thing. Someone at Top Rank told me, and it wasn't Bob, but they told me, Steve, all I know is this. Frank Espinoza, James Prince, those type of managers, even a Shelley Finkel, I think we would have made a deal with those guys. In other words, you got to go in there with honest intentions. And here's the problem I have with David McWater saying, well, when I said $5 million, I was just being facetious. David McWater was the same manager that told Charles Conwell, hey, fake a hand injury to get out of this fight so you can do that fight. That guy has no credibility to me.
I mean, it's like when you said crying wolf.
Yeah, as that manager, you need to assess your leverage. And not only did it take the knowledge that another entity was going to come in big with a big bid, with a shitty fucking bid. I mean, to be frank, I don't mean to be foul about it, but the shitty number, on its face, it's ridiculous. It should have been stricken just as that far. It's 2x. It's if you're bidding a government job and you are half of the lowest bid, of the second highest bid, you're that far low, they'll kick you off just because it can't be right. It's too far out of whack.
And here's the thing that got me. And then Teofimo and his father and all them, they were changing the game. You changed the game so much, you went right back to Top Rank. Okay.
You're gonna teach him a lesson. Yeah, you're gonna teach Bobby Arum a lesson, and you lost you lost money doing it.
And so my view is with David McWater, if you told Top Rank you wanted $5 million, you were never negotiating honestly, because you kind of knew what was coming, which is fine. The thing blew up in your face. You live with your consequences. You live with your decisions. That's real life, and that's where part of me is like, thank God I didn't have to report on all of this. Like, I could just now watch certain things, look at certain things, laugh about it, and say, in a couple of days I'll write a smart-ass column, and hopefully I'll entertain some people on their lunch break. Like, I'm going to be writing my column for tomorrow. I'll be writing that today. And I'm going to have a good time reviewing the weekend, giving some commentary. But I thought the Teofimo thing, and I told this to the father last year before all of this. I said, Teo, I said, Junior, everyone calls him Junior for the record. I said, Junior, great victory. I think your son is a star in the making, but you have not made it. And I said, Junior, if I were you, I'd go to Top Rank and say, give me 4 fights. Let's go 4 fights. But they thought they made it.
I mean, I do have to also bring up the fact that Teofimo Lopez, when he did return with Top Rank and they worked it all out, Bob Arum did say, look, we want a rematch. Then Teofimo Lopez Sr. or Jr., whatever his name is, he said, I think I can convince my son to take the rematch. And we all stopped and said, well, wait a minute, convince? Now Lopez is saying, I don't want to fight Lomachenko because he wouldn't have given me the rematch. I don't know how he came to that conclusion, but that's what he said. And now he's saying, hey, I want Taylor, but let's do it at a catchweight so we can have all the belts at the same time.
Titles. And I'm like, excuse me. Teo, I'm a fan of yours. You probably don't like me anymore. I don't care, but any fight above 135.0001 is no longer a lightweight fight. I'm like, who the hell is advising this kid?
McDonald's.
Kim's right, and that
it was embarrassing.
Teo can talk. It's McWhorter's job to actually negotiate and put ink on paper and advise and counsel, not to be facetious with $5 million. They also had to have Kambosos complicit with it too, to also hold out and not come to terms with Top Rank for that fight. That's what put it to purse bid.
Right.
They needed Kambosos with that too, you see.
I get my kicks off. Bob Arum, I'm telling these dudes off. He called that dude a prick, and he called Teofimo when he asked for that catchweight a freaking schmuck.
That was Joet Gonzalez. That was classic Bob. You're a schmuck. What are you talking about? You can't do it for both titles. What the hell are you talking? Tell him, Mauricio.
And then it's like Taylor wasn't going to be able to fight for that. He was never going to get down 135 to defend those, even if he won them. Like his offer to Taylor, there was nothing in to entice him other than, I don't know if I could beat you at 140, so let's get you emaciated. You know what I mean? It was so bizarre.
It even shows that Teo doesn't understand the concept of the business. So, all right, Mayweather had his junior middleweight belts put on the line for Adonis. So what we're talking about can happen. It's stupid, but it can happen. But here's the thing. The average, I'm sure it could be negotiated, price for putting titles on the line is 3% of your purse. Now, so you're having 6 belts put on the line at 3% apiece. I mean, how much are you willing to put out there, stupid? You're sitting here holding out saying Bob Arum's not paying you enough, but you're going to pay these governing bodies 6% of your purse, technically speaking. Unless you renegotiate the averages. Why was Taylor going to want to be involved in that? Because he's not going to give that money.
I mean, I don't know what to even say. Some of the things that I'm like, oh my god, like Teo, you don't even know the weight classes. I mean,
he's lost.
Remember when Donnie Lalonde fought Ray Leonard?
Yep.
Donnie Lalonde, as the light heavyweight champion, had to come in at 168 because Leonard wanted to win 2 titles, 68 and 75, but they couldn't do it at 171. Lalonde had to come down to 68.
That's right, yeah.
Simple as that. That has never changed.
Lalonde, best haircut in boxing ever, I have to say that. But also, when it comes to Teofimo Lopez, Steve, the same realization that you've come to about boxing, that where you've had enough with the business, I've sort of had the same thing with boxing fans. A lot of boxing fans that I encounter here in this community, because a lot of them talk about how they always complain when the fights don't happen. Oh, we never get the fights we want. These guys are avoiding each other, blah, blah, blah. But then when you get a guy like Lomachenko, who fights everybody and doesn't make excuses, doesn't seem to create some drama outside the ring, doesn't ask for more money, doesn't complain about the size of the ring or the gloves, whatever. They hate him. A lot of boxing fans hate him because, well, ESPN overhyped him. That's their excuse for hating the guy. Meanwhile, you got these other fighters. They create all these hoops and they talk a lot. They talk a big game. They tweet at each other like a bunch of girls. They never actually fight each other. And they're the guys that they root for. There's a big hypocrisy now with boxing fans that I'm starting to... It took me about 20 years to realize this, being on the internet. But now I see it. A lot of these guys, for them, it's I don't know, it's racial, or they like the cut of the jib of one guy, but it's not really about the best fighting the best. That's the realization.
No, and they're big with like hyping up. So they hate Loma because they're Devin Haney fans. It has nothing to do with really hating Loma. It's the fact that I'm going to show my allegiance to this guy because they're in the same weight class. And the biggest one that we saw for almost 20 years, I'm exaggerating, was Mayweather-Pacquiao. There are people that are such a big Pacquiao fan that they hated Mayweather. And if you were a Pacquiao fan, to Mayweather fans, you were a Pactard. You didn't know shit about boxing. Pardon my French. You were this person that was just ignorant and just jumping on a bandwagon. And it was so divisive all the way through. And it was all about nothing really. These people weren't receiving any paychecks. You're bantering for someone you don't even know, who's never met you. And it's carrying over, that damage is carrying over into now. Like you said, in the lightweight division, they hate Lomachenko because they love Devin Haney.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's
for all these people who are against my idea of Joseph Diaz saying, I'll fight Haney, again, for the same amount of money, I'm not asking them to take a pay cut because I do understand, because that would be unreasonable. But for all those people saying, well, I hope they don't listen to you. I have one question to these fanagers. Do you actually want good fights or not? Because you're not getting a piece of this. I hate to tell you that. And by the way, what if Joseph Diaz would happen to beat Devin Haney? Does anyone ever think about that? About what that would mean to his career?
Well, Steve, to that point, dude, I get on Twitter, bro. One of the reasons I'm very seldom on anymore, I just can't believe I see thread after thread where people literally arguing for fights not to happen. They're putting all this effort in explaining why Spence shouldn't have to fight Crawford and Crawford should have to do this. I'm like, what are we doing here? What the fuck is this all about?
Right, and so at any time these fans ever want to bitch and moan about a fight not happening, I'm just going to tell them, yeah, but don't worry about it. Remember, it's just business. It's just business.
They don't understand business. That's the.
It's just like, do you want fights or not? I'm to me, again, as long as Joseph Diaz is getting about the same amount of money or more to fight Devin Haney, and I hope Eddie Hearn is not lying, because promoters never lie, right? But I'm hoping that Eddie is very sincere when he says, no, we're offering you the same amount of money. Then what's the problem? Fighters fight, or at least they used to. And Buccio, I'm kind of like you. It reminds me of that great line in Malcolm X when Denzel Washington played that great role, right? A great movie. I love that movie. So Malcolm X is doing this college campus tour, and he's walking with a couple of his correspondents, and then some white girl comes up to him and goes, "Oh, Mr. X, I mean, I see the world, and I want to be of value as a. How can I help?" And Malcolm X just looks at her and goes, "Nothing," and he walks off. That's why I don't even get involved. Steve, how do we fix boxing? And I nowadays, I whether it's online or in person, I just tell people, don't know, don't care. I'm just trying to make some money here. Leave me alone.
Exactly. Excellent comment.
I'm just being as honest as possible.
Hey, I do have to warn you, though. Do not call me Buccio. Do not confuse me with Buccio.
Otherwise,
I love it.
I love it. Hey,
We're gonna have
all look the same over the internet.
Oh, wait a minute.
Hey, Steve,
Wait a minute.
I didn't want you to take me as I didn't want you to take me that way earlier about saying why don't you say how to fix it.
No. I understood. No, absolutely.
I'm just the guy that came in. I'm later than all these guys to really dive, getting really interested in boxing, and I get curious and get to the bot. I like to look into things, and you ask questions why this sport is such a pain in the ass compared to other live events, and it's like that information is not out readily available out there, and yet you got to be interested, and you got to be able to actually address the structure of, like you said earlier.
Oh, there's no doubt. The structure is broken.
With the zone. No, you're not signed with the zone. It's the promoter.
Right.
They don't even want to acknowledge
Jimmy
the
is
structure.
right. The issue is when you have all these new platforms coming, and I like the people at the zone. I actually like the zone. They've given me a lot of good moments. I gladly pay my subscription. But the problem is, it reminds me of the wrestling circuit in the 80s. Yeah, you had all these regions, right? The NWA, AWA, WWF at the time, all these other groups. It's so fractured. It's so divided. Right. So
that's my shit.
It's interesting. So all these people, this is the funny thing about the fanagers. They all say, well, boxing needs a commissioner, needs to be under one roof. They all say that too. And I go, okay, right. So like the UFC. And they're like, right. And I go, right. You ever see how Dana White treats his fighters? They don't get paid a lot.
Yeah.
So now you fanagers are really in trouble. Now you want a system where the fighters have no leverage. See, they don't even understand what the hell they're talking about. They really don't.
A lot of people get in real quick. A lot of people get into this YouTube thing to vent, and like I said, talk about their fighter versus my fighter. But the interesting thing, though, is that you would assume that something like the UFC, like you're saying, there's a middle ground, and I'm hoping there can be a middle ground. But we're like, for example, let's take Teofimo Lopez. Because we're talking about everything he's doing wrong. But the business of boxing can change from one year to the next. I mean, let's go back to Bernard Hopkins 2003. Had a horrible year. He fought Morad Hakar and then Willem Joppy. And then whoops, what happens? Next year, boom, he takes on De La Hoya, makes the most money he's ever made. And people who were criticizing the trajectory of his career, they had to admit, okay, at the end of the day, he knew what he was doing. What would be the perfect scenario for Teofimo Lopez right now? 1 year from now? Where should he be? Who should he have fought? Like, what's the perfect
Well, I would just, get rid of the Kambosos fight. I told the father, look, you're only going to fight once this year anyway, so I wouldn't even worry about whether it's in October, November, or December. Just get the fight, get the money. You need to make some income, all of you. But next year, fight 3-4 times, settle in on a weight class, and get the thing done. I couldn't even name specific names because who knows who's available? Because none of us really do. That's the truth.
You don't want to trigger anybody either.
Well, and here's the thing. He's only 23 right now, so there's plenty of time to make up for. Plenty of time to rebuild his profile. And stop. And here's another thing, just personal. Stop tweeting like a flower child on Twitter. Man, some of those things are cringeworthy. Jeez.
Yeah, no one cares.
How
about getting new management?
Teofimo back.
Hey, how about getting new management? How about new manager?
Well,
maybe new manager, but what about just fighting?
Serious too.
What about fighting your 3 mandatories? Go ahead and fight your 3 mandatories. Get 3 fights. People see you on regular TV. You're building a following because he's going to knock those guys out. If he can stay at 135, he's going to knock those guys out. anybody outside of the elite, he's going to crush because he's got that kind of explosiveness and power, and the contenders are usually weak.
Well, I don't know how long he's going to stay at 35. I think that time's limited, but I know they talked about a fight with Arnold Barboza as getting a feet weight at 140. I love that fight. Arnold Barboza is a real honest, tough, hard grinding fighter. That would be a really good step up and an introduction to 140. I wouldn't mind that fight one bit.
He's got like that Danny Garcia type of physique, like a mini Canelo. I was watching him argue with Devin Haney. He's real muscular.
Yes. No, there's no doubt. And look, he had told me in the past, like, Steve, I don't have a lot of time at 35. But then the Kambosos fight came, and look, there's a lot of money involved. I get the sense, and again, I have nothing to do with that career. This will be his last fight at 35. And then they'll start the campaign at 140. Do I think it'll be Josh Taylor next? No, because Taylor, he probably has issues making 140. So we'll see where that goes. But what I want to see from Teofimo Lopez next year, go back to being a fighter. You're not a motivational speaker. You're not Mr. Zen. Just quit it, stop it, get back to your roots. That's all I want. I don't ask for that much.
You taught Bob Arum his lesson. Now let him actually do his job and matchmake you.
Taught him his lesson by coming right back to him. That showed him.
And by the way, he's going to fight this fight with Kambosos for the exact, almost to the cent dollar amount that Bob was going to pay him to fight the fucking thing in the first place. 3 point whatever from Hearn, 65, 35, 35 to Kambosos, 65 to Teo, 20% of that to Bob. He's going to wind up with, I don't know what the exact numbers are, but I wrote it down the other day. Ballpark, it's going to be like a 1.2 type of situation.
Right.
And then he pays his management. So it's the same fucking thing that 90-year-old guy that doesn't know what he's talking about, you're going to show him up.
And by the way, guys, it's interesting that I'm calling today. You know, today is the exact 1-year anniversary of the Lomachenko fight, October 17th.
Huh, that's interesting right there.
Crazy.
Quite providential, if you ask me.
It's unbelievable.
Hey, I don't want to.
Dennis Morris said, how ironic.
Look, I don't want to pile on Teofimo Lopez too much, but also I wanted to ask you, what did you make of Teofimo Lopez coming out recently and saying he considers suicide at some point? I mean, is this just another?
I mean, oh God, I don't know what to say. This is the age where mental illness is not used as an illness, but as a marketing tool by certain people. I hope that's not it. I don't even know what to say at that point. I just go back to fighting. You're a great talent. I will never change that. I said it. Jimmy can vouch for me. 4 or 5 years ago, I said, that's the one. That's the one. And Jimmy, that's when I was doing the other show, and I said, that's the one. The kid that I have a feeling.
Next round, yep. You're the one who brought him up. I never heard of him until you said it.
And I remember watching him his second, third fight. I told Todd DeBuff at Top Rank, that's your star. He said, who? That guy right there. He's special. The new kid, along with the kid Bam Rodriguez, who I'm sky high on, the other one that I was on very quickly, that I think can be a superstar, can be a transcendent talent, Boots Ennis. And I hope that Boots stays focused, doesn't get caught up in the trappings, hope he's not affected by the business. I hope he's a guy that will continue to fight at least 3, if not 4 times a year for the next 2 years, because I think he's got some really, really special abilities. He could be the best fighter out of Philadelphia since Bernard Hopkins. I really believe that. I hope he doesn't get caught up. Yes.
Well, you also said Xander. Hey,
I like Xander, but you got to work on that head movement. I'm a little bit concerned about that last fight, Jimmy.
Keeping it on straight line too much.
Yeah, he's
really
not.
Cool.
He's not. Look, the one thing is he's still very young. Has not grown into his man strength, so keep that in mind. A little bit stiff in the upper body. And he's going to realize, and this is where Top Rank even says, Steve, we're going to be careful here. Bob Arum told me 2 years ago, Steve, we're not rushing this kid. We don't care what any of you say. So keep that in mind. They know
That's a good impression. Hey, something really cool that I saw. Sorry, Jimmy. Something really cool that I saw. So they saw Anthony Joshua rocking No Boxing, No Life Canelo gear hat. What does that mean? Do you think he's going to join forces with Eddie Reynoso?
Gonzalo, right now, what I am being told, and I found out this late last week, Anthony Joshua is looking for a new trainer, and he's making the rounds. I don't think he's made a decision yet. Yes, he was with Canelo's camp. I believe this weekend, maybe yesterday, he was with Virgil Hunter. So he's making the rounds. So I give Anthony Joshua credit. A lot of people were very critical of the trainer. I don't know if that's fair or not, because Usyk may have been a difficult style, whether he had Angelo Dundee or Emanuel Stewart in that corner. Let's be honest about it. But I believe that he is in the process, I know he's in the process of looking for a new trainer, but I do not think he has made a decision yet, though, Gonzalo.
You think it's going to come down to maybe the language barrier? Because he was wearing the hat, maybe indicating that he might join the No Boxing No Life team. But right. I don't know about the language barrier.
There. But look, a lot of high school football players, when they get recruited by colleges, put on the uniforms and the helmets of teams that they never commit to. That's kind of the way it is. Look, I think he's paying his respects. Probably wanted to see Canelo. But you got to look for the right fit. Sometimes a big-name trainer can be with a really talented fighter, but it's a wrong fit. You got to look for the right fit. That is important. Like certain quarterbacks are not meant for certain offensive systems. So, I'll never forget when Emanuel Stewart picked up Jermaine Taylor. Everyone thought it was going to be a perfect fit. Emanuel told me after they broke up, he said, Steve, it just didn't work out because he didn't love boxing enough. He's not the type of kid that liked watching boxing casually. He didn't like studying film. And Emanuel could never get through to that. Emanuel liked guys who really love boxing, that if Emanuel asked you, hey, for the next 2 hours, I need you to watch some tapes with me. If you don't do it, you weren't an Emanuel Stewart type of guy. I know that for a fact. Emanuel liked students of the game. He didn't like guys who just did this as a mercenary. So Anthony Joshua has to figure out stylistically who works for me and whose personality works with me. So I know he's out here in California, probably going to go to Vegas. He'll make a decision soon, but I don't think a final one has been made as of yet.
Is Norman Stone still around? Because that'd be a nice little.
Okay, come on, Pete. What the fuck's the matter with you, man?
I like the style.
Anyway, guys, I got to head to lunch here. It was great joining you. Let's talk again soon, man. I appreciate all you guys do for me.
Fantastic.
Steve, it's always good to talk to you, brother. Talk to you soon, bro.
All right, guys. Talk to you later.
Take it easy, man. Thank you for being on.
Buddy.
Hey, don't forget, you can check out Steve Kim over at Twitter, at SteveKim323. You can check him out over at snack.com. He's got the K9 corner right there. He said he was going to be dropping the next column about maybe tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. And don't forget, you can also check him out at The Blaze. He's been putting work in there, guest spot in there. He's been a commentator over at The Blaze. I didn't really find... somebody posted the links in Discord, or sorry, the video links. I suppose if you go to... Jimmy, you might know, right? Which show is he on?
They hired him to... Yeah, he's now a regular. Like, he's a part of the Blaze family, so he's going to be, like, covering boxing. Plus, I'm sure when they get to know Steve knows as much about probably baseball and football, not to the extent as boxing, but he's a sports guy right across the board, and I'm actually happy for him that he's doing that because I don't want to sound like a Debbie Downer, but I think he's going to outlive the sport of boxing. And things don't drastically change. Because last night, prime example, do you think that gained any new fans last night, that fight? Say, even if you didn't know Mikey Garcia, that fight wasn't an exciting fight.
Well, I think the Navarette fight. This is what happens. The Navarette fight, I think, did gain people. I mean, I was surprised.
Yeah, there we go.
Maserati. Yeah. I think what did you think of Maserati's gas engine?
Maserati was fucking bringing it.
No, but what did you think of... I mean, I knew Joet Gonzalez was a tough dude. I think most people overlooked him based off the Shakur Stevenson fight. But Jimmy, what did you make of it? Heck of a fight, right?
Well, I said not his last fight, the fight before. I said Navarrete. As far as Maserati's concerned, as long as he is in the focus in the position he is right now, like you can never hold a certain greatness you just can't. It's especially with that sport, it's too violent. But as long as everything's dialed in, his conditioning, his focus, there's nobody at 126. Oh, I was going to beat him. I believe that. He's got a good chin, and he just throws punches from the most bizarre angles, and he's accurate, and his work rate. I'll tell you, that kid, you said Joet, if he wasn't just a fucking tough Mexican kid, he would have put him away. Because he did a lot. You see after the fight, the damage in that kid's face.
Oh yeah,
Oof.
Yeah. He was also I'm showing pictures of his face here over. I'm showing the screen. Look at that.
But props to him though, man. Yeah, that's always like to me that kid. I want to see him again just as much as I want to see Navarrete. Like after seeing him against Stevens, I wouldn't have cared if I ever saw him fight again. But that was because of the way Stevens fought him. But then again, I wouldn't care if I ever saw Stevens fighting it either.
No,
that fucking bores the shit. He bores the shit out of me. His fights bore
Yeah, a
me.
guy like that's never going to look good against a slick boxer who's on the back foot. But that style matchup was perfect with Navarrete. Perfect.
He had to show up, Joet Gonzalez, because that was his probably like make or break fight, like the final opportunity. Now he's kind of like relevant in the sense that he's still loved, but he can still give somebody else a tough fight. And Navarrete, he fights like a killer, man. Literally, I mean, he's the guy that's consistent with that beatdown that puts motherfuckers in the hospital. He's damaged all his opponents late, and he's consistent, Jimmy, with that work rate. It's pretty much like even keel. He doesn't slow down.
Gonzalo, you
pick up the tempo, but it's consistent and it's a good tempo.
Well, Gonzalo, you say it all the time, dude. He's the type of fighter who kills you in the ring, literally kills you, meaning it's like you've mentioned it. You said you'd rather get knocked out early and then you actually take less damage getting banged out, your lights put out, than that consistent, sustained beating. You know what I mean? Those are the fucking fights that, really cause that curve your career. They shorten your career.
And Gonzalez had to come forward. He could not stand. You stand with Navarrete. You give him his reach plus about 6 inches to get some kind of an angle, like Jimmy was talking about, some kind of a leaping uppercut, some kind of a. It's dangerous. He had to come forward. That was his only way to survive, and he did. That motherfucker did. He came straight forward, banging his gloves together, taking vicious body shots.
I will say,
it's just that.
Love it.
I was going to say, how do you train to fight him? Like, he throws punches. Like, you would never teach a kid to throw uppercuts from that far out or a lot of things. But he makes his style work for him. It's not aesthetically pleasing. Like, he's just, I'm not trying to be mean, but even his look is almost awkward. Everything about him is awkward. But it's devastating.
It reminds me a little bit. Remember that fighter that fought Victor Rabanales? His name was Jesus Christ. No, Wayne McCullough, Victor Rabanales. Yeah, that's the guy I was trying to say. The guy about Wayne McCullough. He was really awkward. Remember that guy, BDA?
Talking about Zaragoza or
Rabanales, Victor Rabanales.
I don't remember him though. I'll watch him on YouTube. But yeah, go ahead. Yeah, that's what he reminds me of.
He reminds me of him.
You know who? What I was gonna say. Oh, by the way, real quick, a shout out to It Was All a Dream. He says, "Welcome back, BDA. Where have you been? I've been here all along, man. What are we talking about?" But shout out to It Was All a Dream, man. I haven't been hosting, but I've been jumping on the streams and I've been working on videos. So shout out to It Was All a Dream. I'm still right here, baby. I was gonna say, you know who Navarrete reminds me of though, Gonzalo? He reminds me. He's like a mix between Margarito and El Títere Vázquez. He's very awkward, just like Vázquez, and then, like you say, he throws those uppercuts from far away. It's just he's got better combination punching, I think, or better hand speed at least than
you just can't, like Jimmy was saying, you just can't stand there with a high guard at range with him where he can hit you from 50 different angles. You feel like you're getting hit by an octopus. I often think about like strategy for fights. I often think about strategy for fights, and it's like being pinned down on the beach at Normandy. You got to go forward. Exactly. I know you want to take cover and cover up, but you got to fucking go forward, or you're going to get decimated. The rounds that kid just stood there at range, either fucking step back, hit him in the balls and get a break, step back, or come forward, because otherwise, Navarrete is going to just, that maitre d' they had in there for a referee. I don't know what he was watching.
Yeah, you called him a maitre d'.
It was like straight ball shots, and he didn't even fucking look twice. He told Navarrete to get up after he got caved over. And he finally warned Gonzalez, you know what I mean? And those shots weren't deflected down. Those shots were like, all right, I need a break here.
What was that, Pete? Why did that ref tell? When you get a fucking baby maker shot, you have 5 minutes to clear your nuts. And he was just, get up, let's go. It's like, dude, so it's either I was knocked down, dude. Either start counting or give me my 5 minutes. Either way, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, it was like he was flipping fell in a grocery store. Get up.
Yeah.
Get up.
Andre Ward was loving it, man. He was loving those tactics.
Exactly.
Hey,
yeah.
You got to do what you got to do.
Like, good strategy, man. That's get you back in the fight.
You know what? That reminded me of the Amir Khan Crawford fight. How Crawford took out Amir Khan with that nut shot.
Oh yeah.
The ref just called it a TKO.
Yeah, it was very.
I wish Ward wasn't. I mean, I'm blocked by Andre, but I wish I wasn't because I would have liked to light him up on Twitter about them stupid ass comments about the long count going all the way back to Fury last week.
You know what you got to do?
Asinine.
If you want to get back on his good graces, you got to call him Dre, like they all do. Come on, Dre. That's a great point, Dre.
Hey, son of God, son of God, you mind unblocking me? You fucking faggot. Thank you. The thing about it is, oh shit. Go ahead, Gonzalo.
Go ahead. All right.
I'll go
Joe
ahead.
Rogan also mentioned something about that he thought it's due to corruption. I saw that today on the podcast.
Joe Rogan was calling. I remember when Marcus knocked out Pacquiao, he started calling Juan Manuel Marquez, and then after 2 minutes, he kept calling him Lopez. Because when Lopez knocked out Pacquiao, he ran him into just like, listen, forget about that dude. I mean, Joe Rogan's a good podcaster and everything. He's the best of the best, but he gets a little bit too high when he's on the show.
Too much Skywalker.
Yeah, he doesn't.
Over there.
I was surprised, BDA, because when he started talking about the boxing, he sounded like a casual. And
Well,
that's his stuff.
He's a casual when it comes to boxing. I mean,
Yeah, when it comes to boxing, he's a casual. He knows his MMA stuff. He's always been into that. He was, into the mixed martial arts, judo, and all that shit back in the 90s. He's never been a boxing guy.
Like you said, that's his profession now. It's not boxing. So he was a big fan, and then he switched over. Martial arts, and then a boxing fan. But then, for the last 20 years, he's been the voice of the UFC. He's got.
It's the same thing.
Remember the fucking arguments? Remember that he was on ESPN debating with Lou DiBella? Do you remember that when he was saying that fucking boxing was a dying entity? I mean, for a while there, he was actually anti-boxing. It was like you had to have one or the other, which is a little silly. What's that, Pete?
I can't believe I actually missed that. I've always seen him as just a pot smoking. Hey man, this shit cures fucking. I got my head chopped off when I smoked a joint. It grew back. Like they think it cures everything. It should be legal and
weed.
Well, it doesn't.
Yeah, the UFC stuff. So.
Well, I have to say real quick, shout out to Michael Pover's contribution with the super chat. He says, Garcia glad he lost Robert. Okay, hold on. Garcia glad he's lost Robert's brother, said Walmart hand. Okay, Michael, I can't really understand. Man. I can't really understand what you're saying, man. I hand coordination tapping wall doesn't work for boxing. Lopez 2 weeks later is doing it. Okay, I think he's saying that you can't.
Is that an encrypted message or what?
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to get the dream. What was it? Those Native Americans, the dream chasers, or what were they called in the World War
Enigma
II?
machine.
Yeah,
the rotors on this.
But shout out to Michael Paul. I think I know what he's saying. I think he's saying that you can't be taking those layoffs. That's the main point. You can't be taking the 21-month layoffs and then coming back in your 30s and expecting.
Especially a counterpuncher.
Exactly.
A counterpuncher has to be crisp. And what was with the fireworks going off before the fight? Like even they said that's like a little premature celebration, no? But I guess they wouldn't have been shooting it off if he lost. But
well, it was.
You couldn't take two different productions, man. That ESPN.
Did you watch the picture on the thumbnail for the telecast? Mikey Garcia, he's got that silver hair too. He's aging not aging, but he's got that gray hair that runs in the family.
It's true. Yeah,
he's a different Mikey.
They should go for the shoe polish. Put some of that in there, man. Make it nice and shiny. Shout out to Gnot.
We've taken more time thinking about this than Mikey has. That's the point.
All right, Pete doesn't want to talk about Mikey Garcia anymore. But
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying keep it.
Yeah, you are a little bit. Shout out to Gnot for his contribution with the super chat. He says you could tell Joet Gonzalez was taking a beating by all the fouls he had to throw just to stay in the fight. Yeah, good point, man. Correct. I mean, he was hitting the kidneys, he was hitting the balls. I mean, it was just all over the place. I think he actually might have talked to Andrew Ward right before the fight. Shout out to Chris.
Then you had his. Sorry.
Real quick, yeah. Shout out to Chris K for his contribution with the super chat. He says Ward was licking his lips all Friday night. Shout out to Chris K, man. Yeah, go ahead, Gonzalo. What were you saying?
Yeah, then you had his sister, and I think it was like his brother rooting him on, egging him on. That girl that used to date, what's his name, Shakur Stevenson, and she gained like 30 pounds. Did you see that?
Oh yeah, dude, I saw that. I commented on it while we were watching. Nice, she blew up nice.
Well, I don't know about nice though. Well, you like him a little filled up there?
What, dick? No, fuck no.
What are you talking about?
Hey, wait. Can you guys repeat what you just said? Because my phone cut out. What was it? What did you say?
Fuck well, all you have to do is look at Joet's mother. You know what I mean? The daughter's going to look like the mom. That's all. Yeah. That's all you got to say there.
Hey, it's interesting. It's like Gonzalo said. You look at Mikey Garcia and Robert Garcia; they're going to look like Big G in about 20 years. And you look at Gonzalez's sister; she's going to look like the mother did in the crowd. And they had their dog Was the dog? Do you think the dog took the jab? Because if the dog didn't take the jab, I don't think they should let him in the arena.
Service papers. I got a fucking python here. It's my.
Yeah, but he came illegally, so he's here illegal, so they don't have to get the jab.
Come on, Jimmy.
I'm just saying they don't. They just don't.
Yeah, there is a COVID vaccine for dogs because some guy was texting me that he wanted one of my puppies, one of Lobito's dogs. Some crazy guy from the United States. But I found out what the requirements are. Yeah, if you want to ship a dog internationally, you have to give him the jab.
Oh, come on.
What a fruit.
It's true for COVID.
I mean, that's insane, man. But I was going to ask you guys, when it comes to, because we always complain, well, not always, but, we talk about how we want a guy to box intelligently, but at the same time do it with a little panache. Put a couple of combinations together, go to war. When it comes to Navarette struggling a little bit more than expected against Gonzalez, and then you take a look at Shakur Stevenson, walked away with his face clean against Gonzalez. What do you guys think? Do you think in the end, Shakur Stevenson's that the whole adage of skills paying the bills actually worked out for Shakur Stevenson, or do you think long run? No,
Gonzalez.
I don't, because it might have prolonged his career, but I mean, that fight was forgettable. Like I was trying to forget it right after it ended. The Navarrete fight, I already watched it again. It was a great fight. Like Navarrete, his face wasn't that jacked up. He had a little bit of a mouse under his eye, but he purposely puts himself in danger. He knows he's going to get hit to the head, Navarrete. You know what I mean? By his style. Listen, guys like, I'll tell you, I can't stress it enough. Guys like Shakur Stevens don't like getting hit. That's why they fight like that.
Well, then it begs the question, Jimmy. But then it begs the question. Let's say, it begs the question then. If Navarrete, if Maserati and Shakur Stevenson get together, do you think it could go both ways? Do you think Shakur Stevenson might be too skilled for him? Or do you think as soon as Shakur Stevenson gets hit, he's going to lose the fight and sort of capitulate a little bit in there?
No, because Navarrete, he's got them long-ass arms. Like, he'll touch him. And the thing is, the key with a lot of people, it's almost, everybody falls for it with the slick guys. You go head hunting. You just want to, you know what I mean? You want to take the head off and you headhunt. The same way Garcia was doing last night. He, didn't even bother going to the body. Navarrete will be ripping it. His body, his arms, his freaking shoulders, his gut. He'll be going just ripping shots. I don't see fucking Stevenson want anything to do with him. I don't see that fight happening. I don't see Stevenson's people putting that fight together.
I love that matchup, though. That's just a guy's going to come forward and pressure the fuck out of you. IQ-wise, I'm talking about not just like a maniac. I'm talking about cutting it off. And a guy like, I don't care if you like getting hit or not, you're going to get hit. And that's the problem for a guy that's always on his toes. To go down on your heels and throw power and then get back up on your toes and move. That's what's so amazing about Lomachenko, to me, and Usyk. So it's like, in any sport, football, to haul ass on your toes and then to fucking sit down on your heels and hit and then to haul ass again on your toes, it's difficult, almost impossible to do it at that level. And a guy like
Navarrete, that's what separates the pros from the amateurs.
He will track down Stevenson at some point.
Oh, yeah.
And by the way, not wanting to get hit. It's about, now you're going to get hit. Do you have any kind of anything to keep this motherfucker off of you? Because what you said about Gonzalez, after the Shakur fight, Shakur wasn't worse for the wear, but Gonzalez's face didn't look like it had 9mm in it either.
That's a good point.
You see?
That's a good point. It goes both ways.
I don't want to see a Rigondeaux. No one wants to see that shit.
Yeah, no, fuck free. Well, maybe the Cubans. Real quick, shout out to It Was All a Dream, who says Crawford needs to keep his wife away from Jimmy. Yeah, that's true. Jimmy, we now know, likes some a little junk in the trunk. So shout out to It Was All a Dream.
A little thick.
A little bit.
So I always had a little bag of flour with me. That way, if you have to find the wet spot.
Jeez, Louise, that old.
I'm just being honest here. I'm just like, come on,
winter's
family
coming.
show.
Winter's coming.
Jimmy's here all week, by the
way.
Jimmy's going to be here all week, by the way. Shout out to Anthony Manzano.
Tip the waitresses on the way out.
Anthony Manzano in the chat says, BDA, this is controversial, but I find that guys like Haney, Davis, and Stevenson are trying to be so much like Money Mayweather that they're not willing to build their own personas. Guys, what do you think about that? It makes sense.
It's a short window. They're getting paid twice as much to fight half as much. They're going to take it. It's disjoined right now. The whole thing about the mafia running it back in the day, they didn't run it. They kept these motherfuckers out. They kept the cartel protect. There's no Heyman coming in signing fighters when the mafia is there. They fucking put a bullet in his head.
Oh yeah, he would have been in some fucking trunk found in the Bronx.
It's not fixing fights and fixing belts. It's keeping the sport, keeping the cartel, the wagon circled, so that you don't get a bunch of fucking vermin in there, filthy fucking vermin. Thank you.
The difference that I do notice, because I have noticed it, that there's more pressure on these guys to be fan friendly. Not so much like, okay, Mayweather is not the one that's fight like the main star right now. It's maybe Canelo. So the styles have shifted to what the people are paying for is in demand. And if these fighters are not giving the exciting fights and try to emulate that style, they're gonna get booed upon and they're not gonna sell as much. So we saw with Devin Haney, he had to do a little extra, even though he was boxing well and it was a great boxing skills. He looked good against Linares. He had to do something different, and when he did, he got hurt. Yeah. We saw it with Shakur. We didn't see it with Shakur, and people they said something about that. So yeah, there's a little bit of pressure on them.
That's an interesting point, Gonzalo, because Haney, I like the way that he did try to rough Linares up in there, but it just turns out I think he's got an excuse not to fight that way anymore because he just doesn't have that great a chin or punch resistance to put it more globally, because a chin is a specific part of the head. When it comes to Shakur,
and I don't think he has the power a lot of people think he has either.
Yeah, exactly. But the problem with Shakur Stevenson, though, is he admitted after that Nakatania fight, or whatever that guy's name was, the African, he said, look, I got hit, I got hurt, I didn't like it, I'll do better next time. That's what he said. Nobody wants to hear that. As boxing fans, we don't want to hear, oh, hey, he got hit once, he got scared, but he'll do better next time. That next time, I don't want to hear it. And it was the same thing in the industry back in the day. We didn't want to hear, well, next time I'll get it up. Nah, you got to get it up now. That was in the contract. That's what we paid you for. And another thing, we're going to get into the Herring thing, because Shakur Stevenson will be fighting Jamel Herring this Saturday. Very compelling fight. Very interesting. So we're going to be talking about that this week. But man, I agree with that comment there from Manzano. When he said, look, these fighters now, they want to be like Mayweather. One shot at a time. Barking every time they throw that one shot, clinching, and then just, staying out of the way and not getting hit.
And there again, where lies the...
Go ahead, Jimmy. My bad.
Oh, no. No, go ahead, brother. You started first. Hello?
All right. Yeah, I think Pete's...
okay, well...
Seriously, go.
All right, no, the Mafia. One thing good about the Mafia, if you understand, it's always where the money is. That's where, and what it drove boxing back in the day was the betting. And nothing brings out the bettors than it has to be 50-50 fights. When you have 10-1 underdogs, nobody's laying down big money because the payout sucks. Mm-hmm. The risk is too big. You see what I'm saying? So it wasn't beneficial for them to put those type of fights together. Nor would it. Like, even if you were considered a defensive fighter like Willie Pep at least wasn't boring. He'd still get in there and slug it out. Like, you could not... a Floyd Mayweather, the money Mayweather, couldn't have existed at any other time in boxing history because he never would have been promoted. Nobody would have touched him because he would just... You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It would have been exciting. Nobody would have followed him.
He actually took the fucking grifting to its peak, He got that Heyman's 8-fight deal with Showtime for no matter who you bring in here, we're going to pay you for these pay-per-view fights. It's all the biggest contract in history, every fucking contract in every sport. So I'm not even talking about that. But you can see the way that the people are evolving. The Zone's running a good show. They're a hell of a lot bigger than boxing. And for all these carriers, ESPN and DAZN, this boxing's like a little fucking sideshow. I mean, really, I'm not trying to shit on it, but to these guys got business going on 50 times bigger and 50 times more established and regimented and lucrative than this boxing thing on their budget. And they will get fed up with the bullshit like HBO and Showtime eventually did. It's not personal. They just got a budget.
Well, Showtime's still in it.
I know CBS is in it, but barely. In other words, they'll get fed up and they'll just say, look, I don't know what the fuck y'all got going on over there, like I don't know anything about any of this bullshit with
Hey, what's with the
managers
cursing,
and
man?
advisors. We're going to go Bellator. So you see the way they're doing it, and my thing is this: you can see DAZN comes in and says, "Yeah, we'll give you a 10-fight deal for again the biggest money in history, but we get the right to refuse the opponents." I'm just saying, like we'll pay you the $30 million for 10 fights, but we're not going to pay you 10 fights worth of these guys that can't pass a physical. Yoda's not going to happen 10 fights for $30 million.
I mean,
and I like the way they're doing it.
The other thing is the recycling of opponents too. Like Julian Williams, I'm pretty sure you're gonna see him up there against. If Boots Ennis ends up moving up to 154 one of these days, then I'm pretty sure they're gonna put him up there against Julian Williams. I mean, they just recycle guys that we don't want to. I mean, how many times did Austin Trout lose a fight and then whoops, all of a sudden they put him in there against another guy that you knew he wasn't gonna
Robert
be
Guerrero.
Robert Guerrero, Paulie Malignaggi. I mean, come on, listen. When those guys were past their peak, we didn't want to see them get beat up. So we don't want to. Boxing fans, and you know what? Boxing fans, 2 examples in our vicinity. Reverse Lee, who was one of the first people that used to come on this show as a panelist back in 2017, and who else was? He's watching soccer now, of all things. You see, that's how bad boxing got for him. That he actually went back to he went to soccer. There's a bunch of guys playing with knee-high socks. I mean, come on. But somebody. Yeah, poor son of a, but who else was it? There was another dude. His name's gonna come back to me. But Kevin from Chicago. For a while, remember he kept calling in about the UFC. UFC is much better than boxing. It's driving people away, man. Some of the way it's going. But I will say this year was good. It wasn't the greatest. Yeah, it could always be better, but I thought it was pretty good. Some of the great fights we had. Chocolatito Estrada. We might have the rematch before the end of the year. Canelo versus Saunders. We had Ramirez versus Taylor. Joshua Usyk.
Yeah, listen, this pandemic thing, if you look at it, the thing about other sports is this, right? I'm not trying to sell or hype any other sports. UFC, I don't follow soccer. I mean, I'm not, I'm a straight man, but I'm just saying, like, UFC, I'll watch UFC, not hardcore, but like, I'll watch UFC. I'm not watching basketball, but I'll watch baseball play. I follow sports, and I'm interested in the structure of it too. And if you're a hardcore boxing fan, and you're used to other sports, even if you've been in them yourself, you realize that there's something. What is going on with this shit? Still ran like it's 1904. You know what I'm saying? Like we're like coming to your town next, like it's an exhibition show. So
you know what, Pete? I don't know why. I just gotta say this. Gotta get it off my chest. I don't know why people always refer to soccer as a girly sport or football, man, because those
around.
When you
I'm sliding, Gonzalo. I watch the shit. I know
he said, because I'm a straight man. Like he said,
I've been to like Beckham.
No, but when they slide tackle you, those type of tackles will fuck you up, dude.
Oh yeah.
I'm
they
Greek,
can crack
right,
your
man?
leg, man.
Believe me, they're soccer freaks, man.
They're
world class athletes, but even then,
it is no sport like soccer for faking. Okay, what about when those dudes fake injuries, man?
You got the same thing over there. You got Premier League, and then you got the other one, the Champions League, whatever you want to call it. And that's just like 2 promotional companies. They are coexisting, but there's no fucking bullshit. Al Heyman's over there signing everybody up and holding them out and starting their own show. Then they get ran out of town. They circle the wagons. So the point is about other sports, guys. Even if you don't have to watch. You mentioned UFC and people are like, hey, fucking wrestling, man. They're fucking 69. Yeah, I hear you. I'm not saying watch. There is a 69 tournament that BDA sponsors. Anyway.
69.
The thing about it is, they know it too. The UFC understands that too. You look at these headline fights, and there's no more locking up in a 69 for 4 minutes until you get stood up. They stand them up. They match these guys up.
Well, you know what it is too, Pete? It's the UFC. Yeah. You got to remember, the UFC as a company almost disappeared back in the early 2000s. So it's almost like they're the Chinese. The Chinese had that giant famine, and that's why now they eat whatever they can find, fucking crabs, some strange crab that nobody's ever seen before. That's what they'll eat, they'll eat flowers, because they still had that mentality from the famine. And it's the same thing with the UFC. They almost disappeared. They were almost killed, and they came back from the brink of death.
Do you know what they paid for it? You know what? They paid for the UFC with Dana White and those 2 brothers bought it for $500,000, $500,000, I think it was.
Because they bought it and it was a freak show and an exhibition and a shit show, and it was goddamn Triller. It was just a fucking bunch of, it was just chaos.
I thought it was look. It actually, brother, was too bloody. That's what happened. Every state started.
I'm talking about the 300-pound guy fighting the fucking.
No, but
I thought that was awesome.
Hold on, just gotta clarify. I just have to.
Marketable.
I just have to clarify that whole with the sumo wrestlers and all that was in the mid '90s. By the time it was close to dying in the early 2000s, it had actually become, because the commissions were putting pressure on them, especially I think the boxing people also had something to do with it. They were putting pressure on the UFC. They were banning them from certain states, and so what the UFC had to do, they started regulating. So they started taking away gimmicky shit like wearing gis or wearing shoes. They outlawed that. They actually had to wear gloves at some point. And then when the Zuffa boys came on, it was actually already pretty good. But that whole freak show thing aspect of it, that was in the mid '90s when they first started out. But I also want to say
early '90s, actually. Yeah.
But people are like, the way you call it a freak show, because I've seen like the first 20 UFCs multiple times, because the freak show aspect drew me into it at first, but really, it really is truly just a tournament. In the early days, a tournament where anything goes style. It wasn't like weird matchmaking specifically. Right. It was just anybody could come in and do what they wanted to.
Exactly.
And, it was way too fucking bloody. There were no rules at all.
Yeah, it was good.
Hitting on the ground, kneeing on the ground, headbutting on the ground. They would also fight more than one time in a night. Like Garcia, like the kid who choked everybody out with his gi, he would fight at 8 o'clock and be back out fighting at 10:30 at night again.
I remember there was one. I mean,
all the way to where it sold for $400 billion and went public. That's the difference.
I mean, let me tell you something.
Cool. It was like the Van Damme movies. Remember the Van Damme movies? That was cool. Remember this character in one of the Van Damme movies? He used to walk out with the cat, like with the big Persian cat.
Oh, that was in the Quest, or maybe it was
the Quest. Yeah, the Quest.
That was a good movie, man. I wanted to say,
a good movie with the big sideburns. He looks like Andre the Giant, Turkish dude.
Yeah, then the Nazis arrive in a blimp as if it's in the fucking 1920s. But, or I think it was the 1920s. But I wanted to say what's his name? Manzano, sorry. Keep calling him Manzano. Anthony Manzano says, you guys going to open up the phone lines. We're actually going to leave very, very soon. So we're going to, we can't open up the phone lines today. Next episode. Also, I wanted to say, in regards to Steve Kim, he sent the link here. We've got... Okay, we already saw. So if you want to check him out at snack.com, and you can check out the Twitter at SteveKim323. It's Jason Whitlock. That's the fellow's name from the Blazing. He's got the official channel here with the check mark and everything. That's legit. Jason Whitlock. And there you see Steve Kim was on there, or he's been there a couple of times. So go check him out at Jason Whitlock on YouTube, and you can check out Steve Kim's appearances there. I don't like the fact that they're bath-mouthing. Are they bath-mouthing Katie Couric? No. That I can't have. Not Katie Couric. She gave us so many news stories in the morning while we were drinking our coffees. Can't have it.
I was still hungover. How about Kate Abdu, though? I was going to ask him about a sight line at the Tebow Morini, some of the sight lines. I was like, you ever get a good sight line on Kate Abdu? That's fucking pretty impressive, my man. Let's be honest.
Kate
Am I right, Will Kim?
Is it Abdo or Abdu?
I don't know. It's
Adobo.
It's I would do. She's bad.
Pete, you're a married man. You can't talk. You're a married man. You can't talk that way on the air. What's the matter with you?
I'm just saying, in my opinion, she seems like she's a nice girl, a fun girl.
Are you talking about the chick that Bob? Are you talking about the chick Bob Adams said? Fuck her.
Yeah.
Fuck
you know they try to cancel him, man. Did you see that? Yeah, like they were getting all the
dude.
But it was just funny that they tried, man. All the blue check fucking Bolsheviks on Twitter started fucking trying to get involved. Bob don't give a shit.
10 years from God canceling me. Fuck you and fuck her. I told that broad no face off. You know, he's just.
Well, think about. I mean, it wasn't a small fuck up. You know what I mean? Like you don't really have much to do, broad, except sit up there and fucking shake your ass and blink your eyes and just talk or whatever. The fact that she would say, "Okay, now it's the face off," after they went and both sides said no face off, too much bad blood, something could happen. For her to just like disregard that because I didn't know. But again, what I didn't like is she tried to play the victim. First, she's her little response, her little tweet she sent out. I really put Bob on a pedestal, and I hope. But at the end, it was she was the victim. That's the angle. She didn't know.
Well, she said that in her earpiece, the guys in the truck told her, "Yeah, there's going to be a face-off." So she She said she was just going off what the people at the producers in the truck were saying. So I don't know if that's.
I don't think she knows a damn thing about the actual boxing procedure and promotion. She's a commentator, man, and she's like, I believe that 1,000% that they just told her in her earpiece, like she has for the last 2-3 years, whatever she's been doing this. All right, face-off time, and she says it. She don't run no show up there.
Hey, you think if they told her to take her top off, she would just do it without thinking?
Yeah, like Bob's like, all right, listen, come up to my suite after the fucking thing, and we'll work it out. He just throw it.
I'll forgive you. Give this whole thing a tug.
Yeah, come over here and talk to Junior. Now put me on a pedestal. How about you get on this pedestal? Eh?
Oh, get this whole wrinkle thing a tug.
You're not gonna cancel me. God's gonna cancel me anyway. Give a fuck. Let's go.
Hey,
yeah, and like he got some fat fuck over his shoulder heckling him. Like, if you pay him what he wanted to, get the fuck out of here. They didn't even throw him all the way. Just get him out of here. Yeah, they didn't even throw him all the way out. He's a douche.
Oh no, they booted him out of the fucking place, dude. They took him out of the rest of that press conference. I was told they escorted him right to the exit door.
What did he say after? Was that?
That's that? He just looked at him and goes, yeah? Oh, yeah? Oh, yeah? He was trying to goad a 90-year-old into a fist fight. Did you see that?
Fuck her. Shut the fuck up, you little prick. Yeah, prick. You little prick.
Yeah, that's when he says, oh, yeah? Oh, yeah? Yeah, that's what he said. Yeah.
What did he do? Dude, fucking, dude, when he was saying that, I wanted to punch him. You know what he looks like? Tell me that ain't a fucking dude who hid behind teachers at recess.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah? Absolutely. Yeah? You gonna hit me? Go ahead. Go ahead.
But you know what? It's like you guys were saying, I didn't have a chance to chime in, but I'm going to try to recreate the way he said it. Yeah, but Bob, it would have happened if we would paid him what he wanted to. It's like, what the? You're telling this guy what should
sounded like him. He goes, listen, he said, listen, it went to purse bid. The IBF ruled. It didn't go through. He's got a grin on his face about this whole process, guys. He understands that these guys overbid and that this was going nowhere.
Yeah.
I mean,
he was in the midst of saying it was a shame, a criminal that he hasn't fought in a year. And that's when fucking, what's his name got angry.
He's mad, he's going to shelf him, he's going to take it personal. He's looking at it, grinning him, going, listen, I get 20% of your 65% of this fucking ridiculous number. So whatever it is, I wish him the best. Good luck. He's saying,
well, Bob got, what did he get? I think he got $720,000 check. He already got it.
Yeah,
so
20% of 65% of 6.5 or 6 point, whatever that ridiculous ass number was. Bob Arum put his bid. Bob Arum offered Teo, let's say 1.5. He bid 2.5, and again, I'm not dead on the numbers. 2.5 because that would have been 65% for Teo. He bid the same thing that he offered Teo. You can't have a guy go to purse bid and then you double your offer. Now he was mad at Eddie Hearn because Eddie Hearn, not because he bid. Eddie Hearn's bid, let's say it's 3.5. 65% to Teofimo gives him more than Bob would have given him, but when he pays Bob his 20%, works out to be, I want to say it's like 200, maybe 200. And Teofimo Lopez is going to make the same dollar amount that he would have made a year ago with Bob Arum.
Yeah, but if you would have paid him what he wanted to, he wouldn't be in this mess.
Yeah, that's like, dude, it's like having a fucking kid behind you. Just, Kim's right. It's like, are you a reporter? Can you report that? He didn't say yeah, but he goes, if you pay him what he wanted to, like he's nagging him.
You know what? You know what my theory behind that is it embarrassed Cop the same way as embarrassed, what's that kid, Marcos, the Spanish kid was, not Fight Hype, but
Villegas.
Yeah, Villegas. Yeah, he's another dude who was pro Teo, and he was cheering on Teo for changing the game. So all these reporters, Jake Donovan, fucking Cop, all these dudes were all like, cheering fucking, change the game. He's putting Bob in their place, and they all look like they all had egg on their face. They all look like donkeys after.
Well, remember who said who, but I tell you what, these guys should come forward and say, look, the motherfucker's been doing it he's 90 years old. He's been doing this for 85 years. All right. It's all he's ever done. Turns out that the offer that he made Teofimo Lopez was it turns out that it was exactly what he was worth. Exactly. Not close to the penny what he was worth.
Of course.
Right? It turns
make no
out
mistake
Bob
though,
Arum
Pete.
was right.
Bob knows who they are. He might be 90 years old, dude, but make no mistake, Bob knows who they are.
No, but I'm saying
He's
Bob
a
Aaron's
shot
not
clock,
even
you know
going
what
to
I
waste
mean,
time
for
going
90.
back and going, hey, Viegas, I told you. I read your
Oh,
Twitter.
yeah.
I read your Twitter. I read your Twitter. I read your fucking tweet. I read your fucking thing. No one follows this shit. You know?
Well, no, he has, there's a kid on Twitter who does that for Top Rank. His name's Evan Korn.
Jimmy,
He's in public relations.
Don't sharpshoot me literally. You know what I'm saying? Bob Arum, the guy who's...
Oh, yeah, he's not doing it. No, of course not.
He's seen a million of these guys come and go. Right?
Hey, fellas.
In that many years, he's seen a million guys come like this, a million reporters, a million TOs, a million trillers.
Yeah, that's the thing, that he's been through it all, man. 50 years. Real quick, shout out to Get These Hands for his contribution to Super Chat. He says, I got a procedure for Kate Abdo. Laughing my ass off. Oh, come on. Let's not. Now it's starting to get. Now we're veering on sexism over here, fellas. But shout out to Get These Hands for his contribution. And real quick, shout out to Nicholas Argiros for his contribution with the Super Chat. He says, Tank versus Rolly. Thoughts? All right, we'll get into that a little bit. But I just want to say, too, I opened up the phone lines because Michael Poe wanted to call in. So I said, all right, if Michael wants to call in, we got a little time. Let's take a phone call here for Michael. So let's go to...
I can't wait for that fight.
Mr. BDA. Mr. B, I think I remember the character in the movie now. His name is Attila, I think. Attila?
Wait, which movie are you talking about?
In The Quest.
Oh, in The
Attila.
Quest. The Turk guy. Yeah, I think the Turkish guy, right? Was the main bad guy?
I think his name is Attila.
Attila the Hun. By the way, I think we got Michael on the line. Michael, you there?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
I can hear you, man.
Oh, yeah. All right, perfect. I noticed you guys didn't put it up, but I was almost passing out, so I figured I'd try to call. There was a bunch of disco music in the back, freaked me out. I thought I hit a gay porn line or something. But,
come on.
No, the message I sent you, it's my microphone. I was trying to say, caught an interview with Robert Garcia making fun of Lomachenko, how he doesn't know how to real grit box, and him doing eye coordination, touching the wall. I see a video of Lopez doing something similar a couple of weeks ago. I'm laughing my ass off. I'm like, come on, man.
If it works, it works.
I like Mikey Garcia, but I don't. But that was it, man. I'm just calling because I haven't called in a while. See what was going on.
Well,
real quick, what do you think of I didn't get to talk directly, I don't think, about the Fury fight. Everything went as you guys thought, or?
Well, actually, I can tell you whether you get the prediction right. Because I do have... actually, just for posterity.
I got it right. I was worried, but...
Well, let me tell you if you got it right.
Yeah, but nobody got the round. Nobody actually picked the round right. That's the only thing.
Well, actually, no. Gonzalo got the right.
Dude, I know. I'm busting stones. Remember that night?
Sorry, Jimmy. Sorry, I fucked it up, man. Sorry.
No.
All right,
Michael. I'm afraid to hurt anybody's feelings, so I don't like to go against certain people. But
go against everybody you want, man.
A different thing, so I don't want to. I didn't want to say nothing. I just said that.
You go against
shape. It doesn't mean that Wilder didn't have a pulse.
Go after anybody you want and go racial. Go after anyone you want and go racial if you want to. That's what you're allowed to. But I want to say...
No, sir. I don't do that.
All right. Michael Poe...
No, I don't do that. No,
your prediction was Fury by
stoppage.
No,
I think Fury was out of shape. Even his fat has a certain shape to it when he's in shape. But that's a guess. Again, it's only a guess. So, but he got the job done. So
it's a good guess. Anything else?
Lack of shape is what caused that fourth round knockdown.
What's that, Jimmy?
No, I was saying his out of shapeness is what caused that knockdown. He knew he wasn't in shape. That's the reason why he charged in recklessly in the fourth, because he was so anxious to get him out of there, because he knew he wasn't in good shape either. If he was in good shape, he would have stayed back. Yeah, and picked his spot better. He charged in recklessly because he was out of shape.
Exactly. And I don't know if Bucho's on or not, but I was being serious. I looked at the ref counting for both. He did a ridiculous count for both guys. Even when Wilder was standing, he was like, 1, 2. He was doing that. And Fury could have gotten up anyway, so it didn't matter. That whole thing was garbage.
Yeah, and then the ref...
Whoever tried to bring that up.
And then the ref would give... Like when Wilder went down, he gets up at 8, And then he
It made no
goes
sense.
another 7. He
Yeah,
goes
yeah.
another 7 seconds, wiping his gloves off 4 times, asking him if he's okay, walk to me. I mean, it was just a Mickey Mouse type of shindig. And it was ridiculous. But anyway,
You couldn't figure it out.
nobody could.
But listen,
Nobody
the right guy got it. And thank you for taking my call. I'm going to listen to the rest of the show.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you for calling in, man. We'll catch you on the
Thanks
next
for calling, Mike. Good talking to you.
Mike sounds like he's feeling good, right? Mike sounds like he's feeling great right now.
See you later, Mike.
Yeah, hey, by
Yeah,
the
no,
way,
we got-
sorry for that last time that I interrupted and I was drunk, because I know you had talked to me about that a few times already, not to join the show
Well,
drinking.
when it's listen,
But,
when it's
yeah.
when it's the day of a fight, or actually right after a fight at night, it's daytime over there for you. You're already full of energy. You don't need to be on the sauce for the show. 'Cause right now it's right now it's what right now it's nighttime or early in the morning, right, for you.
Yeah.
So that's why we never really get that true form. That's what I said. One time you were on, it was after a fight. I forget which one, and it was probably daytime for you over there. You were full of energy, and I told people that's final form Gonzalo right there. But when you start hitting the sauce a little bit, your thoughts get disjointed, and it's not as fun listening to your input. It's much better when you're sober.
Yeah.
I'll just put it that way.
I'll take a drunk Gonzalo over a sober XO any day of the week. But let me reiterate one thing, guys. Just to, and I got some shit going on here myself, so I'm getting distracted. But let me say one. I don't mean to beat this point here, but let me complete it. The thing about the other sports, don't forget your aversion to UFC or your, I hate soccer, I hate baseball, I hate football. Blah, blah, blah. Look, just look at the structure of those sports. The further you look back, the further you can see in the future. These problems with boxing have come and gone 50 fucking times because the structure has not changed in 100 years. Give or take. All right. So I got books about, this guy who in the 80s came in and basically another Al Heyman, not with hedge fund money, but with bank fraud, wire transfers, came in, took over boxing. It's a red hardcover book. I can't remember the fucking name of it. I'll put it in the Discord. But, these guys, it's all in the history. It's all in the layout. Now, the thing with other sports, the structure, the history of the players and their rights and their pay versus the owners, and the technology. This stuff that Lomachenko does has been around in other sports for fucking 15 years. Longer even. I mean, I'm 42 years old. I played college ball 20 fucking years ago. And this plyometrics and the vision coordination and concentration for quarterbacks and skill positions. These other sports got enough investment, enough schedule, and enough structure to allow them, number one, to be free for you, and number two, for them to invest in making these players into, technologically making these players the best they can be. So, I'm just saying, man, if you don't follow any other sports, no big deal. You don't got to dive in. Just take note, because
Pete, but you can't play boxing, man. If you're talking about boxers, you can't get a chin. You can't boxers can't buy a chin like that, or you can't develop a chin like that. Some people just don't like to get hit, man.
Yeah, but Gonzalo, do you think that you can develop a pro soccer player? Like, you think you can develop Messi? You think you can make him? All the intangibles got to line up. The stars got to line up. All right,
That's a good
it's
point,
a very short window, and it's those guys got recruiting processes going down. Let's talk soccer. I don't even fucking watch it.
Well, let's not talk soccer.
They got recruitment processes going down into grade school. You're 1 year old. You're going to school, private school with these guys, all going to school together, groomed for this.
Yeah, because it's big business, man.
Yeah, you can't. If the return's there, the money will come in. But until then, it's just going to be a fucking flea market.
But the number of people that succeed off of all these pay things for all these bigger money sports and everything, it's still a single digit percentage that you're ever going to make it anywhere anyway. I mean, the amount of people, there's a lot of good soccer around here and where I'm living at. And there's a lot of different private organizations that have retired World Cup players, both local and international. And 1% of those kids are actually going to make it even to a college level scholarship, let alone anything else.
Yeah.
So structure
Well, I mean,
helps, yes.
Yeah,
Structure
I mean,
helps, yes.
the
But it
structure
doesn't
helps.
guarantee anything on the success.
I mean, but you gotta
I'm
admit
sorry,
that.
I'm sorry, Boxing Chief, one more time. The last part you said structure helps, yes, but go ahead.
It doesn't guarantee success on anything.
I'm not worried about these fighters.
Well,
I'm
listen.
worried about our
We can
job.
we can get into the whole national commission thing and business side of boxing another episode because it's a very complicated thing. It's not the first time. Like smart people have come in here and tried to change. Not here on the show, but I'm talking to boxing and try to shape it into something workable. And it's just it's too chaotic. It's too archaic. It's just it would take a lot of work. Let's just put it that way. By the way,
You had it in the 90s, guys.
Recognize is telling me to tell Gonzalo that he picked Fury by 11th round KO. That's right. Recognize didn't pick it, but so
yeah,
you're not. You don't.
Yeah, I wanted to mention something about that BDA when who mentioned Jimmy about the knockdowns. One of them wasn't real. What about the other one? There was 2 times that Fury went down. Deontay Wilder broke his hand, and I was watching an X-ray.
On the 4th one,
If that is the X-ray, he broke the middle finger of the knuckle. How many times you see a middle finger of the hand get broken around the knuckle area? Usually it's the meniscus.
Never.
Where you call it the pugilistic break, right? The boxer break.
Well, look,
I'm showing you.
It's the back of your hand.
You can also say that he landed the punch correctly, right? Because
No,
if you're
actually-
punching and you're hitting center mass with the knuckle, you probably landed the punch correctly.
Gonzalo,
And
if you look at
you saw the fat rolls reverberate on Tyson Fury's stomach.
Yeah, he caught him
meaning
right in the
that
top of. He caught him right in the
connected.
forehead with it in the 4th round, and that's when it broke it. And it's like you said, he broke in a spot. Most people don't break their knuckle there. If it's a boxer's break, those are the 4 bones behind the back of your palm. Like, you know what I mean? That's the boxer's break. You don't usually break fingers, but that's some people just have more brittle bones.
Wait a minute.
So
wait a minute,
he landed that punch squarely on the forehead. Does that mean it? I was going to ask you, Jimmy. Is it because he's brittle, or is it because of the speed that he puts behind it and the gloves he
Brittle.
chose?
But the gloves in the brittle bone. It's just some guys can fucking hammer their hands and never break them. They can have hand issues. Almost all boxers have at some point hand issues, but some guys don't break.
So Jimmy, why is he a power puncher? And if you could, why you suspect that he punches that hard if his bones are brittle and they break?
Not so much like not like brittle. He doesn't have like brittle bone syndrome where like he falls and the fucking he breaks 6 ribs. But you know what I mean? Like his bones, some guys just are stronger. They just don't break as easy, and that's the reason why he was wearing those other gloves for years. I mean, if you look at his,
if he would have hardware in there too, he would have hit as hard, right? That's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, exactly. And also, right, that also, if you see, he doesn't take a good shot. I'm telling you right now. Remember all along I was saying there's a reason they've matched Wilder the way they have. There's a reason they match a lot of these guys over at the PBC, like Plant, all these dudes. They never face anything. Nobody ever comes back at them hard. They never match them against hard punches. And I say the only reason why somebody would do that is this: they know their people. Trainers, people have been with them for years, like Shelley Finkel. He knows Wilder doesn't have a chin.
And by the way,
he's been sparked out in fucking training and shit.
Like Bucho said too before the fight, he said, think about it, Wilder's never fought a puncher. But I want to ask a question, because you were talking, Gonzalo, you said Wilder broke his hand. Did you say in the first knockdown that he scored, or in the second?
No, that's what I was trying to figure out. One of the two, whichever it was, had to be legitimate, right?
Well, because the reason why I ask you is because I'm showing the clip here of the second knockdown. First of all, it was illegal because he grabbed Fury behind the head and then whacked him.
Pushed him down.
But if you look at the way he hits him, he's hitting him almost with the palm. So I think his fingers were... I think that might be where he broke his hand, because it looks like it's the palm, but it could actually be maybe with the knuckle, with the middle of the fingers, where those joints that interlock.
Oh, so he stretched it backwards. You think he stretched it backwards?
I think this is where he hit, because he's hitting him on the side of the head.
He's got hardware in there too. No, he's got metal hardware inside towards his back of his elbow, or is it in his hand?
I think it's in the. I remember he tore his bicep, right? But I don't know about the hands.
Torn
I don't
his
know.
bicep for sure.
Yeah, so hopefully he's got metal on his wrist.
Yeah, he's got surgical.
What I've heard, I don't know how true that
stuff
is.
in there, and I'm telling you how that works. They drill in. When I severed my bicep tendon, they drill in there. They tap your bone into the bone, and they screw in like a metal cleat to tie the tendon back off to.
Yeah, to anchor it.
So,
Yeah, that same thing happened to me.
There you go. So if you drive a screw into a piece of wood and you don't put a clearance hole, a pilot hole in there, you'll see how it fractures out. It cracks out. So in my opinion, the guy breaks his hand every fucking fight. Here's the objective. Let's break it on 2 punches and the ones that knocks the other guy out. And let's not break it for no fucking reason because you're throwing like a maniac and then have to club the rest of the fight. Because sooner or later, he's not going to be able to throw that. His brain's not going to let him keep throwing a straight punch if his hand breaks. He's going to understand that subconsciously it's going to hurt him. And it'll make him pull his punch in a fucked up way.
Well, if it's a clean break and it heals supposedly, because I have a lot of broken bones, the bone will heal stronger where it broke. So I was just trying to understand everything.
On a clean break, yes, Gonzalo. And Pete, you said this the other night. I think you're 100% right that if you notice when he was coming up, his form on throwing that right hand, which is the only thing he really had like dialed in, was throwing that right hand right. And later in his career, he starts clubbing a lot with it. And it's probably due to we're not doctors, but everything Pete's saying makes sense of why he's doing that.
Don't speak for all of us. Real quick, let's go.
Wilder? You mean Wilder clubbing?
Yeah, the way Wilder clubs.
Yeah, when he'd come down and throw hammer punches, he'd come down the side of his hand and stuff. And a lot of that, because all he ever did was hit mitts. There's a reason the peanut bag and there's other bags that he didn't touch that would change that, because you can't hit it with hammer fists. You got to hit it direct line. You got to turn your fists over.
Hey fellas, we gotta take a phone call. We gotta. Before we go, we gotta take a phone call here. And oh boy, hold on a second. 773, you're on the air. 773, what's on your mind?
You guys.
Hey, Mickey, you're so fine. You put my money, Mickey. Mickey. Oh, Mikey. Mikey Garcia.
Oh, Mickey.
Let me tell you. Let me tell you about Michael. Michael, he came up and said, Bill Haney. He was saying he wants. We got Mikey Garcia. I think this was last week. He's in our crosshairs. We're targeting that fight. I think that was Bill Haney who said that. And that's the type of competition Bill Haney wants for Devin Haney. Mikey Garcia, the dude, is coming off a loss like that, coming off a long layoff, and he's calling him out. What does he do his next fight? He loses. You think that's by accident? You think he's calling him out because he wants to challenge himself? Or no, because it's a big name who looks like trash, hasn't fought good, and that's what that's about.
Well, listen,
and
that's
it's funny because when it comes to Mikey Garcia, everyone's going, I want to see him versus Josh Taylor. I want to see him versus so-and-so. It's like, this dude hasn't done shit in years, but for whatever reason, his name's always in the mix. It's, let's put Mikey Garcia in there in a big fight. This dude hasn't done dick.
What are you talking about, dude? He fucking got beat up by Spence.
Hey, by the way, Kevin, I have to commend you.
Embarrassed by Spence. What a pitiable performance.
Yeah.
Pitiable performance.
Threw a lot of good shots at the ceiling.
And then, you know what else is funny? It's the same thing with Andy Ruiz. It's like everyone's always about Andy Ruiz. I'll get him in there with Wilder. Get him in there with Fury. I want to see him versus Fury. No, Usyk. I think he can match up well, but this dude's got to put a win streak together and earn his keep like all these other heavyweights got to do. Well, for whatever reason, Mikey Garcia, he's always one win away from a world title shot. Or Andy Ruiz, he's always in the mix. Sick of this shit. Make them earn their keep.
Gonzalo
because they got a big name that they're always.
Gonzalo in the chat says. Gonzalo in the chat says, for some reason, where is it? He says, I always imagine Kevin like a dude that wears red flannel shirts and Wranglers. Yeah, that's not him at all. He's from Chicago. He's not from the Old West, man. By the way, I also want to say,
Kevin. Bucho.
Bucho, it's BDA, man.
BDA, Bucho, BDA.
All right, and I want to say,
responses. I'm talking about your Mexican comrade.
Kevin,
your comrade.
Kevin, we have to go soon, but I want to commend you. I want to commend you on your phone call. Kevin, can you hear me? Kevin, can you hear me? Kevin, can you hear me?
You know it's true,
Kevin,
bro.
can you
Bro,
hear me? He can't fucking hear me.
Kevin, stop for a second. He's trying to talk.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you. I have to commend you for your phone call here. It was much better than that phone call you made to Ellie Sack back during his show. It was much more proper, much more dignified. So keep it up, man.
I still haven't got that link, Kevin.
Did you get around to play it on your show? You gotta get around to play it on your show so we can expose this rat.
No, we're not gonna play that phone call here. Are you crazy, man?
Hey, how do I get that? Can you say you got that link, BDA?
I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you as soon as we're
all right, cool.
We're off here. But yeah, all right.
You
Shout
gotta
out
go
to
back
you.
and watch it. But Ali Sackback, this clown, he's still going around talking about like this dude has got no shame at all. He's got no shame, just the way shitting on Fury. He's not even the best. Someone said, he's a great heavyweight. He's not great. He's not great. And he wasn't he's even all-time great. So just, he's a great heavyweight.
Kevin, do you know where that started?
He's not great.
Well, Kevin, do you know why that started with Fury?
They call the tribe. That's where that started.
Jimmy, don't try. Jimmy, don't try. He won't hear you. All right. Well, listen, Kevin. Thank you for your call. We have to move on.
Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, no. Now he's listening. Okay.
No, actually, we have to move on.
Kevin, you've been partying down in Rush Street?
I want to know where it started. Yeah, he kicked him out of the press conference,
You've been in Rush Street all day.
Yeah, he kicked him out of the gym. And then he kicked him. The thing is, if you don't give him interviews, if you don't give him interviews, he'll hate you. That's the way it works. But if you give him interviews, he'll kiss your ass. But anyway, listen, Kevin, thank you for your call. We have to move on. Catch you on the next time, right, man? Take it easy.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Kevin from Chicago. All-time great anti-Semite. Oh, hey, how you doing?
Yeah, he's another one. No, he's seen better days. No, Kevin. He's not exactly on top of the world right now.
What are you talking about? He's right on top of the world, man. The world's his oyster. What?
Next time you take one of these one-off calls, when you say, "Hey, we're not doing phone calls," and then you take one, make sure it's head honcho. Don't bring on a Kevin from Chicago.
Oh, come on, Revolution. You can't talk about it that way about Kevin won caller of the year, man.
Where's old honcho Ben? Where's old honcho Ben, man?
I don't know. I don't keep track of these people. Hey, speaking of wild cards, we got a wild card here. We got to go to the wild card line. We got a wild card line here. Weird number 111. You're on the air. Go ahead.
XO.
What's up? Mikey Garcia came in looking like his personal chef was Andrew Reese, bro.
Oh,
I mean, he had a beer belly,
who is
bro.
this?
This guy had a dad bod, bro. This guy had a dad bod. Coming into the ring. Okay. How sad is that, bro? It looked like he didn't even train. This guy had a 20-month layoff, bro. Who does that? Like, what type of professional boxer takes 20 months off, bro? And it's just sad, bro. This guy is more worried about, buying exotic cars than being in the gym training. So he does not have, that desire to box anymore. He doesn't have that desire to actually, win anymore. It looks like he was just in there for a paycheck. He was in there for a paycheck in his last, when he fought Errol Spence. We all knew he wasn't going to win. But, I mean, imagine what Regis Prograis would have did to him, bro. Regis would have destroyed him. Rugu would have destroyed Mikey Garcia, bro. It wouldn't even be competitive. He probably would have stopped Mikey. I'm being serious. Rugu probably would have stopped Mikey, bro.
Can't argue with that, man.
It's sad, but hey, man, that's what happens when you don't have dedication. That's what happens, man. But I wanted to talk about Ryan King, Ryan Garcia, the clown. Listen, bro, Ryan, he's a TikToker. He's a celebrity boxer. He's like a little YouTube star. Come on, man. He's a clown. He's not really a real boxer. Every time he has a fight, somehow he gets injured. He has mental problems, and stuff like that. The guy's gay, bro.
Did you hear the whole show, brother? Did you hear the whole show? The reason why I asked, because Steve Kim was on, he made a very interesting point towards that. It kind of led credibility to the broken hand, because on the report, he listed the doctor he saw, and this is a doctor who's known within the industry that you couldn't lie on. Like this guy wouldn't co-sign a bullshit story. So that's why the hand probably happened. I'm not saying
that's all
the
fine
mental
and dandy.
illness might not have.
That's all fine and dandy, but that's all fine and dandy. But Lomachenko fought with like an injured rotator cuff or whatever. So there's fighters who fought like what's the name?
Yeah,
Deontay
dude, there's no fighters who's
down
ever gone into a fight with a broken fucking hand or
bro.
finger, dude.
MMA.
Yo, are you deaf? Are you deaf?
Listen, MMA.
Are you deaf?
Can you hear me?
I think so. Go ahead.
Are
Jimmy.
you deaf?
All right, go ahead. I think the only guy who's
I can't hear what is he saying. What is he saying?
He's asking you.
Am I nuts? No, I guarantee you, no fighter has gone into a fucking fight like before the fight, break their hand, and still go into the match. No,
Listen,
they won't quit when their finger breaks.
At this point of the day, I said I wanted to go. I'm not gonna fucking stay here and argue about whether Ryan Garcia conspired to. The fact is, listen. Here's the thing. The one thing you can fault Garcia for, the fact that he took all this time off, and then he goes, "Oh, now I'm gonna take some time off and come back." This is what happens. The unexpected. You break your hand. Now you got to fucking take more time off. That's why these guys, like we kept saying from the beginning of the show, they need to stay active. That way, if you get hurt, at least you already fought 2 times this year. He only fought once. He thought the world was his oyster.
And to your point, BDA, I wasn't sticking up for that fucking kid. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that was good to hear that he might not have been faking it on this one.
Jimmy, I think Ryan is secretly going to the gay pride parade in Mexico. So, he might be lying to us.
Oh, man. All right. Well, listen.
Yeah, but see, but honestly, I wouldn't care if he was. I'm not intimidated by gay people. They don't bother me because I'm completely secure in my sexuality. Like, I could be around a gay man and I won't suddenly say, oh shit, I'm starting to think about sucking dick. It just doesn't happen. So I'm not one of those guys who hate on gay people. So that kind of joke just loses it on me. I don't give a fuck what he does. If he comes to fight and he fights well, I don't give a fuck. Emil Evans, Griffin, Hall of Famer, was openly gay at the end.
Yeah, and look what he did. He killed somebody. And he killed somebody. It's that gay deviousness.
He killed somebody in the ring.
But see, that's what I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying.
But my point is, I'm not sticking up on BDA. I'm just saying, I don't think he might not be faking on this particular incident. That's all. It's the only point I try to make.
Listen, I don't understand why you try to argue with MMA champ when you know he's just trying to rally you up. You know he's just doing this.
No, but I wasn't even trying. I just wanted to put that on, not just for him. Like when a caller says something, and I always think of it this way, dude. If I'm coming onto a show, say somebody tuned in 10 minutes ago, and he's hearing him say that, and they miss Steve, I just wanted to let him know, and everybody else listening, that Steve Kim came on and said that one particular thing. It's a show.
That's true.
Some people, a lot of people start getting into this like it's conversations, and we're not doing it for,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, people have come on and they go. I remember when I did the Ioka versus Tanaka fight, and after an hour of talking about it, we started talking about Canelo, and then one guy goes, "Oh, why are you talking about Canelo? We just had a great fight between Ioka." But I said, "Well, yeah, it's been an hour and a half. You want us to go on for about 3 hours about one fight? Get out of here!" Real quick, let's go to 226. Hold on a second. 226, you're on the air. 226, what's on your mind?
Yeah, fellas, long time listener, first time caller over here. They call me Satanic Sonny.
What's up, Slugger?
Thank you for having me on the show, Mr. BDA.
Thank you.
What was that? Sorry.
No.
I said, what's going on, Slugger?
I say he thinks you're somebody else, Satanic. But go ahead. What's on your mind?
Oh, this is the Slugger?
I don't know what that guy's problem is. I don't know why he's calling me names.
I know.
Excuse me, sir. Please don't call me names.
He made a mistake.
Please don't call me names.
Slugger.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Slugger. He didn't mean any disrespect. He gets a little. He drinks a little bit. He doesn't mean any disrespect.
I've been hitting the head a lot. Sorry.
Well, he was out of line a little bit. All right, he was out of line a little bit. But anyways, let me get to my point.
I'm only kidding. You having a party.
First of all, for crying out loud, please. Nobody cut me off, please. Nobody cut me off. Let me
go
finish.
Go ahead.
Right? So I watched Mikey Garcia yesterday. And I gotta say, I'm not impressed with that guy. All right, Mike. Why does it sound like somebody's talking or something? Somebody cut me off.
Because you're crazy.
Right,
Nobody's
anyways,
cutting you
let me
off.
get back.
Schizo, man. Go ahead.
You're hearing the echo.
All right.
You're hearing your echo, bro.
So
That's it.
anyways, Mike. Oh, that's what it is. I'm hearing the echo. Yeah, I thought I heard something weird. But anyways, Mikey Garcia, I'm sorry to tell you this, pal, but you belong in the same category as Adrian Broner and Keith Thurman.
Oh.
All right? You guys are those type of fighters that are never, ever going to have a shot at the title again. All right? And I'm not here to disrespect you guys. You know, you were all former world champions, and you were good, but your time is over. All right? Your time is over. You don't ever get a shot at the title. Mikey Garcia, that was a disgrace what I seen last night. That was an absolute disgrace. You know, how do you lose to a guy from Argentina? No offense to that country. But how do you lose to a guy from there?
He was from Spain, bro.
Nah,
you know what I mean?
Argentina.
I mean, come on, get it.
No, I know. I was just fucking with it.
Go ahead, Jimmy. Ask what you were going to ask me. Go ahead, Jimmy.
Oh no! I was making a joke. Like I was, BDA, and I do. Don't get me wrong, too. I want to make it. I like a good twink joke, but earlier I don't want anybody to think that I don't like that shit. I think it's funny too, but you know what I'm saying.
I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah. Hey, well, listen, Slugger.
It's just like that. Where are we going? All right.
Great
point. Call them Slugger.
BDA. Wait, BDA. Excuse me, sir. BDA. I told you, please don't call me any names. All right. But I got a quick question to ask you before you hang up the phone on me. Please don't hang up the phone on me. I'm begging you. I got one question to ask you. Are you familiar with that company, Rival Boxing? They based out of your area over there?
Yeah.
Do you recommend somebody buys Rival Boxing equipment, or do you recommend Everlast or something better? I mean, what's all the hype about Rival? Is it really good?
Well, you know what it is? It's almost like they're the monopoly here over in Quebec. If you want to buy any other type of glove or any reputable glove, you got to do it online. They're okay. I mean, it's like anything else. If you go to Walmart and get the Everlast gloves, don't do it. They're $50. People that don't know better, they buy those and they think, oh yeah, this is a guy. Nah. Now, if you're gonna go for Rival gloves, what's the one? We actually did a review of the gloves, the pairs of gloves that I got. Hold on a second.
Yeah, I saw that BDA Venom, the Venom kind.
I was gonna say, dude, I tried Venom recently. I haven't tried a new pair of gloves in a long time, like hitting bag or whatnot, and just those Venom feel real nice. Is that what you got, Venoms?
No, I don't have Venom. Hold on, I'm gonna show you the
that's
ones.
a different brand, but you did a review on 2 gloves.
Yeah, I did
it a long time ago.
Look, I can't. The internet's slow here a little bit, but if you're gonna go for gloves, I got the Tidal gel gloves. They weigh more because they're made of gel, but I've had them for about 6 years and they have not cracked because it's not foam like the other models. It's not gonna crack in the middle because sometimes you don't hit it properly and over time it starts to crack in the middle. These gloves, the Tidal gel gloves, they do not crack. Now the other ones are the Rival gloves. They're a little bit more expensive though if you get the good model, but they won't crack either because they got a little bit of gel too.
What size are they?
I use
14,
12.
16?
No, I use 12 ounces for the bag.
Yeah, Navarette was wearing Rivals. That's interesting. I don't think I've seen another Mexican guy wear Rivals.
Well, they've gained a lot of traction over the years. The guy who owns the company, he's very savvy. Okay, it's the Rival RB10 shock back gloves. Those are the ones that they're very resistant. So check those out.
Hey, BDA.
Yes.
BDA, why do you got to call him BDA? Why do you got to call him the guy that owns it? Everybody knows him, Russ Enbar.
Right,
he's a
Russ
known
Enbar,
guy all over boxing.
He is.
Just call him by. Just show him a little bit of
I didn't know
respect.
him.
What do you mean, the guy who owns it?
Nah, I'm
What kind of
sorry. It's just
bullshit
because.
was that, BDA?
Hey, Jimmy's been in the boxing thing for about all his life. He doesn't know who Russ Enbar is because Russ Enbar is more of a regional guy. I mean, you see him with.
Yeah, I didn't know him.
Right. I mean, if you saw him, you would know who he is because he's been in the corner with Usyk and Lomachenko and a bunch of other dudes. But
okay.
He's a good guy.
I didn't know him by name.
All right. Listen, Satanic, we got to move on. Thank you for your call. Catch you in the next one, right, man? Take it easy.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Let's go to... Because I got to go take a wicked leak. And at this point of the
I hear you, brother.
I got to go eat as well. 346, you're on the air. 346, what's on your mind?
Hey, what up, man? Lost man. Check it out, bro. Mikey Garcia, bro. is like just a straight check chaser, bro. He's fat and sloppy. He's not looking for those type of real legacy fights. Even Mikey Garcia himself, man, he only got into boxing just because he was good at it. He didn't like boxing, but then he realized he can scam these idiot promoters like Dave, stupid ass, that paid him $7 million versus Vargas, freaking retards, and he needs checks because people are stupid. He has a Mexican fan base and a simple minded as fuck. Long as they going off race and he's Mexican, they'll go for it. Or someone unknown, or even if they know that Mikey is not going to take it seriously or really cares, he's just getting paid.
Well, they certainly learned their lesson now. Because, I mean, you look at, in hindsight.
I agree with them, yeah.
Yeah, in hindsight, if you look at his fights, like I said, against Burgos, he's dominating the guy, but he's not stepping on the next gear to take him out. Same thing when he fought Broner, when he took, and look, listen, I know when he fought Spence, he was up against that bigger guy and all that, but he never tried to go for at least a punch.
No, exactly. He never tried anything. He was there for the fucking check. The call is 100% right in his description of him. 100% right. Everything he said.
The thing about it, though, I got to say this, man, because like they try to tell these biased ass fans, like same for the LDBC, how like we talk shit about them, right? But I hate how most of these casual, regular, basic ass Mexican fans can never call out when they guys doing dumb shit. Like, when has the last time we see Mikey Garcia, let's just be honest, have a 50-50 fight with some, or him being the underdog, just being real? Like, we haven't chance to see that. But he had the opportunity to do that. I haven't seen it in years.
Well, the Spence fight was 3 years ago, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
and again, he knew in his heart he was going to lose that one. His own father said he had no chance. Yeah, so I don't count that as a 50-50 fight because his father knew he was going to lose.
Yeah. But caller, what are you saying?
I
said he didn't go for the Spence fight because he wanted to be great. He went for the Spence fight to get paid. Yeah. I see something. I see something. You don't see a fucking thing.
Yeah, like Jimmy said. Now
I can't hear him again.
Yeah, I think he cut off. But like Jimmy said, his own father said he's got no shot. They went for the money, and it's interesting when you get a guy like Mikey Garcia, skills, heavy hands, especially at 130 and 135, but his heart just wasn't in it. And I do have to say, they looked at his.
Did you buy the pay-per-view, BDA? Be honest.
The Spence one.
Yeah.
Well, I couldn't even buy it because over here in Canada they don't have, unless you have.
Really? Box, that's unbelievable. You can't get them
because you need the.
Yeah, that's one of the ones I didn't buy. I didn't even bother. Are you kidding me? I haven't bought a PBC pay-per-view and I can't remember how long. Actually, this last Tyson, that was a promoted one, but a straight PBC fucking pay-per-view. There's no way. Not worth it, man.
It's kind of hard to get them damn pay-per-views, man, for the fucking cable service. I usually just buy it off of PlayStation or some shit like that. If I gotta go through a lot of bullshit like ESPN Plus, I don't want to buy it, bro. It's wasting my time. I gotta get cable and do all that dumb shit. I'm not doing that.
Well, even here, the Wilder.
I gotta be honest. Oh, sorry, BDA.
Real quick, the Wilder Fury fight. I tried looking for it because, again, if you don't have a cable box or a satellite box, you can't get it. So I said, okay, let me go off to Fox Sports, get the app, and pay for it there. Oh, it's not available in your location. Then I go to BT Sports, same thing, because it's from the UK. So it's like here in Canada, I don't know how to, and I can't go to a restaurant because now you got to get the fucking jab just to get inside a restaurant. So it's a whole Mickey Mouse shindig over here.
That's insane.
Yeah, I don't know why they haven't changed that, that type of system, bro. If they really have changed it just to a app where you can just buy the pay-per-view without having cable, you know how much money these fuckers would make? I don't know why they still dealing with cable, bro. It just don't make sense. But that's the end of the day of the fight. Mikey Garcia just ain't shit. Ain't gonna do shit. He looking for a check, and that's about it.
All right. Well, listen, great points. Thank you for your call. Call back next time, right, man?
Yep. I agree 100% with everything you said.
Too, man. Yeah, and by the way, can I just say, too, that I don't like watching streams, illegal streams, because you never know what's going to happen. They start lagging or they shut down.
And then who are you going to complain to?
Exactly.
What do you do? Hey, call up. I'm stealing from you, and this shit keeps fucking fading in and out.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? You sound like and my thing is this, right? How can you seriously say you support a fighter, especially if it's a fighter who has not a big guarantee? A lot of it's on the upside of the pay-per-views. Like Triple G didn't get when he was, on that first couple of pay-per-views. That was all bonus laden. So you know what I mean? Like, that's what, to me, you're not really supporting a fucking fighter if you're stealing his service.
That's right. And then again, some fighters deserve to get robbed. Listen, we do have to.
Oh yeah, like I would illegally stream the fucking PBC one, but you got to get a stick or some other bullshit. I don't know.
And by the way, before we go, Revolucion wanted to say something. Revolucion, the floor is yours. If you're still here.
Revolution?
Right. Sorry. Yeah, I had to pick up my microphone.
Go ahead.
Yes. So everybody, there's some good news. I have been back on my musical skills. I've been putting together a song that has been requested from me from the boxing community. I think you guys are gonna be pleased to hear the parody song for the Tyson Fury Deontay Wilder fight. Yep, it's coming out. You guys heard the American Pie parody I did all those months, years, so many months ago. But yeah. It's coming.
When is it going to be ready? Nice.
Give me.
Are you doing it to music?
Yes, sir. It's a parody song, so that's my specialty. It's parody song in this genre. This time it's going to be a hip hop song, and it does fit with Tyson Fury. There is a tie-in. It will make sense. And I'm going to put you on the spot here, Mr. BDA, because I'm only off on Sundays and Mondays. I don't get to spend as much time on this show as I'd like to. Think about maybe hosting a show here tomorrow. What do you think of handing the reins over to me tomorrow for a day?
Well, we're always
do a couple
open.
Hours show.
We're always open to having a guest host. We've done it with Stu and Recognize, so I'll talk to Bucho and we'll set it up.
Let's do it. It's going to be Rev's personal playground. We'll talk some boxing. We'll talk music, anything else that comes up. And, I'm going to have some other little special surprises, little appetizers.
Don't whip out your dick, please, live. Just don't do that.
Now, can I ask him a question? No, I just want to ask, can he, why can't you just do that? Can't you just do your own YouTube page? Just curious. I was just wondering.
But you know what it is? As a matter of fact, I'll say, okay, so I was talking to Bucho about it, and he said maybe I could host a show. So I figured I'd announce. I'd put you on the spot, Mr. BDA. It's suspenseful.
Right on the air, too. Right on the air. Hey, let me ask you something right on the air.
All right.
The thing is, right, though, brother?
What's up? You said your personal playground, it kind of got a little creepy.
Oh, boy.
No, but the thing is, right, though, what happens if somebody said, how do you think you would feel, dude, if somebody said something, they fucking red flagged the page, and they get a hard strike against this page? And they only get, 2 or 3, and they pull your page. What would you do? Would you feel a little guilty? Just curious.
I think that was
I'm pretty family friendly. No,
not you, dude. No, not you. No, I meant like if somebody called. I'm just joking. That wouldn't happen.
I don't expect it to. Well, but listen.
Don't worry. I run a tight ship.
There you go. Real quick, somebody's calling in here. So before we go, we got to take a call here.
Head on, Joe.
214. You're on the air. 214. What's on your mind?
What's up? It was quite a surprise to see that Mikey had lost. But I'm actually happy. I'm happy for the guy who beat Mikey. I don't know what he's gonna do. I've been hearing about him for quite some time that he doesn't even like boxing. That he just likes to he likes the business. He likes to get money. That's fine, but I think he's gonna get hurt if he continues to try to box. So if he really wants to fight, and if he really doesn't want to end his career on this note, I think he should get serious and pick a weight class that will fit him. Whichever one it is, because he's fought at different weight classes over the years. And I like to know what you guys think.
I was going to say, to your point, bro, that a few years back, when he was in his strife with Top Rank, and he was inactive for going on 3 years, he said that was part of his happiest time of his adult life, because he didn't have to worry about boxing. And that's when he started doing ride-alongs with the California Highway Patrol. If it was his way, and he wasn't born into the business, he just happened to be good at it, he'd be a police officer. So you're 100% right in what you heard. His heart's not in it. It's not passionate.
Yeah. And I have a question. What do you guys think of the Gervonta versus Rolly Romero fight? A lot of his fans are very, of course, Rolly fans think that he can pull it off because he's big and strong. I don't even think it's a worthy fight. I think of even watching. What do you guys think about it?
I agree with you 100%. If it was a fucking Saturday night fight, free on Showtime, because I pay that up subscription anyway, but I would DVR it and watch it later on. I wouldn't fucking watch it live. The fact that it's a pay-per-view, it's like, it's insultive that fight's a pay-per-view. And it's not even reflective on the guys fighting. It's just the lack that you're talking about a kid who just walked off the street 6 months ago. Half of the people in boxing even know who the fuck Rolly Romero was. Let's be honest. He hasn't done anything. See, I'm from an era, too, that pay-per-view meant something. Sorry, Gonzalo, go.
Sorry. If I'm not mistaken, Rolly Romero is TMT fighter. No, he trained in that gym or trains. So, Mayweather is Tank Davis' advisor, and he's very calculating. So Mayweather knows that this is a fight that he's going to win. That's my only problem with the fight.
Yeah, my problem is with Rolly Romero is just not that experienced. I mean, he's a big dude, and I think he's going to match Tank Davis' strength, but he could also be a little bit like Daniel Jacobs versus Luis Arias. Arias was a good fighter, good punching power and all that, but just when he fought Daniel Jacobs was on a whole other level. He just went on the defensive, and I think it might be something similar, but hopefully it's fun. But again, it's pay-per-view, so if you don't want to watch it, you just don't have to pay for it.
Well, BDA, I hope he knocks out fucking Davis just because he's fucking just the way. It's not reflective of Davis, just the way they've handled that kid's career. He hasn't fought a legitimate opponent going on 5 years.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Yeah. That's absolutely
true.
But
I agree with what Jimmy said about how if this was a Saturday night free fight or something, I think boxing could really benefit from having a ESPN Friday Night Fights kind of thing come back where get low-level guys, but get some exciting fights,
Yeah.
I agree 100%.
That was my favorite shit back 2005, 2006. I was watching every weekend.
Guaranteed boxing, yeah. Guaranteed boxing every Friday. Anyway, listen, caller, thank you for your call. Call back next time, right, man? Take it easy.
Okay, all
right, listen, fellas, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. Everybody that called in, everybody that donated with the super chat. I want to give a shout out again to Steve Kim for calling in and joining us. Really appreciate it, getting his breakdown of the fights. Again, don't forget to check him out over at K9's Corner at snag.com. You can check out his Twitter at Steve Kim 23, I believe. And you can also check him out on Jason Whitlock's show. He's got a guest spot there now. So go check him out on YouTube. That's Jason Whitlock. Who else? Oh, yeah. So again, The Blaze, yes.
Blaze TV, yeah.
Blaze TV. So thanks to it. Well, on YouTube too, like I said. Don't forget to hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. Don't forget to check us out on Twitter. Don't forget to check us out on iTunes, Spreaker. You can download the shows there. We're also on Spotify. So, we're very flexible, fellas. Very flexible. Shout out to everybody in the chat as well. Resmack, The Real YT, K-Fold, What About Me, YouTube name, Knot, Rennie Box, Neil Simpson, Vince Vegas. Everyone that donated the super chat. Sea Lion, Kevin from Chicago, Tommy Nealon, Saint, Quint, Eparokua. You guys know who you are. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for calling in. Shout out to all the panelists. Uncle Pete, Gonzalo, Chief was here as well. Jimmy, Revolucion. And I'm not missing anybody else. Yeah, Recognize couldn't be here. He said he was at some sort of family gathering. He said it was very chaotic. So there you have it. He calls his family chaotic.
He's been out of pocket for a couple of days.
He's down at the swap meet.
He's at La Pulga. He's at La Pulga.
AKA,
I love swap meets, man.
You mentioned La Pulga. He lost 2 BDA against the Cuban guy.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, congratulations. Man, I don't know how he didn't end up on the show. Joet Gonzalez, he pulled it off. Jesus Christ.
What happened to John?
Joet Gonzalez, bro. He pulled it off. I didn't even know he was fighting. He's a champ now, man.
Johnny Gonzalez.
When you said pulled it off, I thought you said when you said pulled it off, you meant some hitchhiker's face.
I thought you were talking about Joet Gonzalez from the BDA.
Yeah, I thought you were.
Yeah, that's what I thought you were talking about too. I'm like, what? How did I
you're right.
This
you're right.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, he's on the show. He comes on the show, and he talks boxing. I didn't know he was fighting too.
Okay.
Oh,
I think that's what his name was, the Cuban dude, Gonzalez. Yeah.
And motherfucking dude, it's been a good week for us. And And Recognize. Dude, Recognize has his fight. He beat a goddamn F.A. Ajagba.
Okay. All right, listen, we got to go. Thanks. You just look like Frank. Thank you for calling in.
Revolution's got that delay humor, man.
Yeah, I just got it too, man. All right, listen, fellas, thank you for calling in. I do have to go. Got to go take a leak, and then I got to go eat. But thanks again, Joe, for joining us, fellas. Really appreciate it. Take it easy. Catch you in the next one, all right, fellas?
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.